What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Let's get the show started like this.
Who am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name is Cameron.
Cam Buford.
You got some good questions today.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement.
This is a big, big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
I'm not worried about him right now. I'm worried about Crawford. I'm trying to get that fight made.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy? I want to get some of this guy.
Of course I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Once you finish him off, do you feel you get the credit and the respect you deserve there?
It really don't matter. I'm just on a mission to become the best, welterweight in the division. After I get him, I want to fight the next best guy, the next best guy, the next best guy. And then once I clear the division, I'm going to move up.
Think about it like this. The promoter pays the fighter. The fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter, and the fighter works
for the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show voice of the fan,
Oh my goodness!
continues to
I'm in
evolve.
tears.
Come on, you were adding some spice to it.
It is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
The real ones know what's going on, right?
Like you said, Pacific Northwest. So I think it's a big part of my game. And every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy
Yeah,
for the whole
yeah,
Kansas
no,
City.
yeah,
I was
Ken,
trying to sit in the
nobody.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
You look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's Big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sport. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Thank you guys for tuning in. The Voice of the Fans podcast. It's week 242, Cleveland, of this iteration of the Voice of the Fans. How you doing today?
Doing all right, Ken. How about yourself?
We had to check on it and give you a health check. I noticed you don't have no purple or gold on today. Any particular reason why? Did you put that hardy stuff in the back of the closet already?
Oh no, it's still readily accessible. It's not in the back of the closet, but I mean, it is a new day.
New day, huh? New day, new events.
Sure.
Fans, we got to start the show off. It's not a somber moment that we're starting to show off, but I just want to play another video, guys, for you guys. Just some things I was working on in the past, and just a remembrance of this gentleman that we just that moved on. And here we go. Let's see if I got the great Jim Brown. This is Cameron Buford, LA News Observer, Voice of the Fans. Mr. Jim Brown, pleasure to see you today. Thank you. Would you speak a little bit about the mentorship? You led this charge with mentoring African Americans, inner city youth for your career. What does that mean to you to do that?
It means, on a personal level, it's a no-brainer. Because I've benefited as a kid by people that did the same thing for me. So for me to join Eric and like-minded people, it's just a natural thing. And I'm so proud of him because, he's a young guy compared to me. Right. But his thinking is not young at all. His thinking is very young.
Well, again, you led that path, so we commend you for leading that charge and being involved and being socially active and socially conscious. Thank you for that. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Now, I talked to you last year. I told you the Browns, and we agreed that the Browns are going to be better than a lot of people expected. Yeah. Now, this year, coming in, they have a quarterback. They're picking up a lot more talent. I see you wearing the hat now. Are you more excited this season about the Browns?
That indicating that I was trying to hide before.
No, not at all. I just did. Last time I talked to you, you had the Browns hat on. That's all.
Well, last time you talked to me, we didn't have all those great players that we have now. We have our team.
and they're looking good.
We have talent all over the place, you know.
What's it going to take to kind of bring all of that together, and how long does it take to get all this talent together? Is it training camp? Should it week 4, week 8? When should we see this this team come together and be the force they would be?
Well, I think it's going to happen pretty quick.
Okay.
Because 2 or 3 of the players are very good friends, and they have a background.
Yeah.
So one danger mark is that you have all of these great players and they don't work together.
Right.
But because of the friendship and the history, I think they know how to really put it
together,
and
right.
use their skills properly. So we should see right away that kind of attitude among these guys. The only danger is that if they all get selfish with their great talent and go their separate ways, that's not going to happen.
Good thing you got the young quarterback he's pretty confident in his ability now. Yeah, he's pretty confident. Now he's going to spread the ball around and make sure everybody gets a piece of the action, right? So that's another good thing for the Browns, correct?
Absolutely. This kid is sophisticated. He's got a little edge to him, you know. You got to watch how you talk to him.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, though, right?
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
He can throw the field.
Yeah.
And he takes responsibility on being the quarterback.
Right.
You know, you can support him or not support him. He's going to go forward, so I love it.
Now, the NFL draft was this past weekend. What do you remember about you being drafted?
Oh boy, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, but I'm sure you remember. That was a life-changing event, though, right? You gotta remember that, right?
Yeah, but I thought
was that too long ago?
Was that 65 years ago?
Oh my goodness! Oh my
Were
goodness!
you born?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. Jim, I want to thank you again for your time, man.
Thank you.
One question.
Hey, that was just a great moment with the legendary Jim Brown. One of the moments I had with him. Actually got to interview him a couple of times. So thank you guys for taking a moment to listen to the show. Listen to that for me. It was man, the man's gone. Cleavon, how will you remember legendary Jim Brown?
It's funny, Cam. It is it's kind of a toss-up. Do you remember him more for his NFL greatness or for his social activism? I think that his social activism will probably reign longer than what he was able to accomplish on the field. And I remember watching ESPN, greatest athletes of the 20th century. He was number 2, man.
Well, I think they kind of go hand in hand, Cleavon. You can't, because first you'll mention Jim Brown. He was arguably one of the greatest running backs of all time, right? Arguably. And then, I mean, just the videos, just his power. Again, we go back to talking about who he was playing against and the competition that they played against. But I mean, he was running through those cats like he was like they couldn't tackle, like there was no good players out there. And he was just clowning, and that was so impressive. But then he left the game early, retired early. He went to go do a movie, and the movie took longer than they expected. And the Browns tried to say, "Well, either you come back now or you don't have a career." And he said, "Okay, I don't have a career then because I'm doing this movie. I'll catch you guys on around." Art Modell tried to pull that on him, and he said, "Yeah, Art, take that job and shove it." Is essentially what he said, and he went on to start making movies. And then, so why I say it's one and the same, because you can't to tell the story about Jim Brown, you have to tell the story about how he left the game. He left on top, and then he did what he wanted to do and make the movies, and then he was one of the key contributors into the summit to support Muhammad Ali. And you have the famous picture with Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muhammad, obviously, Bill Russell, and numerous African-American athletes from back in the time that he brought those guys together. And then he did the same thing 30 years later with the Crips and Bloods in 92 with the riots. He brought the gang members up there. And so it's like, guys, we got to settle down. Now, that only lasted a few days, but yet he still brought them together to stop the violence. So, yes, I think they go one and the same. So that's just wanted to share a moment that I had. One of the greater moments that I really enjoyed through this process. And it was a real cool experience to meet Jim Brown. And I met him a couple of times. So that was one of the cool moments. So thank you for your feedback. And let's get back to the show, man. How we always start the show, Cleavon, each and every week we play our numbers game. Well, before we get to our numbers game, want to talk about what we're talking about today, fans. We got the NBA playoffs. I don't know if you guys are following, but the NBA playoffs is off the hook. We got a lot of great things happening. We got some things, some teams revealed. Some things have been revealed. We got some players, some sore losers out there who they lose, they get swept out of the playoffs, and then they talk about retiring. And if they don't, I don't know if I'm coming back. We're gonna get into all of that. We're gonna get into this NFL, the NFL off season, some rule changes within the NFL, some changes I'm not a fan of, Cleveland, and we're going to just discuss it. We got more boxing controversy happened over the weekend, but within that, what happened today? We got some boxing news that we're gonna have some breaking news, Cleveland, that we're gonna have to get into, and it's gonna make even Cleveland has to be excited about this news. Even Cleveland has to be excited about this news that we're gonna break later on in the show. And then we got kickoff to the, I don't know how much NBA or MLB conversation we're going to have, but we're going to have to talk about the kickoff to the WNBA season. Brittany Griner gets on action on the court. Breanna Stewart sets a record out there in New York. She's coming back. She's coming back home next week. I don't know if Seattle Storm is ready, but we're going to have to talk about the WNBA kickoff to the season that happened last week. But it's today, March 23, 2023, week 242 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. And what we do with our numbers game, Cleveland, each and every week, we take two numbers, the date and the number of the show. Today, with being March 23, Cleveland, think of the number 23. Who wore that number the best? And who comes to your mind first?
Well, Cam, who comes to mind first is the King, LeBron James, who wore that number so eloquently in Cleveland, and then in Miami, and then in Cleveland, and then Los Angeles.
Who did he wear that?
But probably wore the best number. With that.
Oh, okay. There we go. Had to see if you was gonna come around. There was a kid who played at the Rainier and Henderson at that school, RB Rainier and Henderson, who wore 23 pretty swell as well. Couple guys won 23 out of the Northwest, so kudos to him. Cleveland got it right this time. When you think of the number 42, Cleveland, a lot of numbers come to mind. A lot of people come to mind, but who wore that number best?
It's got to be Jackie Robinson, just for the mere fact of what he was able to do breaking the color barrier. And, MLB has been respectful enough to retire it throughout the league and continue to promote that every season on his birthday. So that's a great thing. I'm sorry, I'm a big
I don't particularly care for everybody wearing 42 on Jackie Robinson Day. I don't particularly care for that. I like the fact that it's retired across the league, but everybody wearing number 42 on Jackie Robinson that's kind of hokey. What do you think about it?
It's a little different. It's kind of hard to adjust to because
I mean, you look at who is this guy? Oh, number 42. Oh, that he threw it to number 42. Number 42 at the plate. Come on, guy.
It's a little different, but I get what they were trying to go with that, and I respect it for having the respect to do that. So
just have the patch, have it on the field. I mean, having how these lawn guys mow the grass and they can mow number 42 in the grass. I mean, that'd be good enough. Put it on the pitcher's mound. I mean, everybody wearing 42. Come on, cut that. Let's do something. And thinking of number 42, the number I thought of when I'm looking at the guys in the Northwest. What do you think about Vin Baker? I wasn't up there when Vin played. He was a kind of replacement to Sean Kemp. Coming over from Milwaukee, his game in Milwaukee, he was much better in Milwaukee than he was in Seattle. But what does Seattle Sonics fans think of Vin Baker and what he brought to the Sonics?
A little soft emotionally, not really adequate replacement for the Rain Man. I mean, those are big shoes to fill. And
was that nobody appreciated him because he wasn't the Rain Man? And he was supposed to be.
Well, he wasn't the Rain Man, and let's be honest, you have to have a certain level of thick skin to deal with Gary Payton every day. So, and he just didn't have it, and he kind of got exposed to that. So it's a combination of we're expecting this physical ability that you don't really have, and you can't really relate to what GP is saying in your ear
Gary's
all the
killing you
time,
every day.
and so you just
I
kind of
mean,
crumbled under the weight of expectation and Gary Payton as the leader.
I mean, Gary getting at you every day. I mean, that has to annoy that has to annoy the toughest of cats, right?
You have to have a temperament for it, and he didn't have it.
All right, man. We talked about Jim Brown and what he meant to what he meant to NFL and society. Actually, these owners, they approve the flexing game. Now, guys, they can flex later in the season. They can flex teams they can flex the Seahawks into the Thursday night game. But they have to give the fans, or they have to give a 28-day window. So obviously November they have to have 28 days to be to flex you guys into a December Thursday night game. So flexing a Seahawks game and a Seahawks Rams game or a Seahawks Cardinals game into a Thursday night game. What's your thoughts on that as a viewer, as a fan? As a viewer, it doesn't mean so much. But what if you saved up, all your checks, Cleveland? For you, it'd probably take up 2 checks. But what if you save your 2 checks to go down to SoFi Stadium and see a game down there in SoFi? You buy your tickets, you buy your hotel, pay for your airfare and all this, and then they tell you, well, instead of the game being Sunday night, it's now going to be Thursday night. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's a weird compromise all the way around, Cam. I mean, they act like they were doing the players a solid by giving them a month's heads up warning to it, but yeah, they're not taking anyone else into consideration with it. It's only about ratings and what game might be more favorable with regards to marketing. So yeah, it's selfish and greedy, but that's kind of what the NFL does. So
yeah, you said it best. So now in the guys, so they ignore player safety by forcing these guys now to play 2 games on Thursday. First, it was one game a year. You got to play on Thursday night. So one week a year, you guys are gonna have Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and play Thursday. You get 5 days rest, and if you have to travel, that's even less. But you get 5 days rest when typically you play on a Sunday, and you get at least 6 days rest. Now they said, okay, ignoring player safety. This is going to happen twice a year now, and we might be able to flex you in. So if you play Sunday night, if just throw out a team, the Miami Dolphins, for example, they play the Bills on a Sunday night, they can conceivably turn around and have to play the Chiefs on Thursday night. If they're both 11-2, or
the way that you're explaining it is that they would have to be like a month down the road. It wouldn't be like, oh, you just played tonight, and then on Thursday.
Yeah, no, you're right, but they could still have a game on Sunday, even if it's a month in advance. They still have a game Sunday night and still have to flex into this game on Thursday.
Sure,
that's still a shortened day, and so in one hand they ignore player safety on that end, and then they want to turn around and change this rule for one season. A player can now fair catch a kickoff. Fair catch it. So if they kick it to the 6-yard line, he can fair catch it, and then they move the ball to the 25-yard line. Is that ridiculous? I find that absolutely ridiculous. And they have it on the guise of player safety. Well, guys, you ignored player safety because you're having them play. You're talking about flexing some teams into a Thursday night game and only giving them a minimal rest. And now you're going to talk about player safety is important, so you're fair catching a kickoff? What do you think about that? I think that's ridiculous and preposterous. Your thoughts, Mr. Cleveland? Am I crazy on this?
It's just a movement to get the game to basically eliminate, at least the NFL game, to eliminate kickoffs, man. Just start on the 25 game.
And that's ridiculous. What if you're going to get that? Might be the next step that they do. Just start on 25. You score, you score, unless you're onside kicking.
Unless you're onside kicking, yeah.
The opposing team gets the ball on the 25. I think that I don't like that. I don't like that. They already legislated out the kick return. I mean, that's already gone. That's one of the most exciting plays and if you think about it, those are plays that guys who don't get a lot of opportunity to play, that's their opportunity to make a play. That's what was my man in Kansas City, little dude, the ex guy. He didn't play any other position but kick return.
Dante Hall, yeah.
That's all he did was kick and punt return. So those guys who ability to shed tacklers, make plays, shake you up. I mean, that's their chance to make a play. So they just eliminated him. He wouldn't play it. Dante Hall, we see no more Dante Hall. Your guy from Chicago who Hester, he wouldn't. I mean, he couldn't catch. He wasn't a running back, but he was just fast as hell. He's gone. He doesn't even get a chance anymore. I think I don't like that. Am I the only one that doesn't like that? Fans, let me know at _ voice of the fans on Twitter. Fans at _ voice of the fans on Twitter. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about them legislating the kickoff, the kick return out of the game of football? Why don't they do that for punts as well? Why don't they do that for punts as well? You have to punt the ball. You just throw it down the field as long as your quarterback, as far as your quarterback can throw the ball. That's where you guys spot the ball. Why not?
Punt's a little bit different. You're not kicking the ball like 80 yards. You're punting.
They're kicking it. Some punters are kicking it 60 yards.
You're punting. No, Canvas is different. Here's the difference. You're punting from various spots on the field depending on what's going on. Adverse, just kicking it off from where you kick off, and you're punting the ball. You're not just letting the ball sit on a tee and kicking it as far as you can kick it.
There's no collisions on punt return. There's no.
There certainly are.
There's no hard hit.
But the ball is not in the air nearly as long. The ball's not going nearly as far.
I mean, we're gonna see that BS next, man. I don't like that direction the NFL is going. I think it's absolutely preposterous that they made this call. Another thing. So Cleveland at work. This is kind of a funny topic. I can see both sides of this, but the man who did it, I think this is Bush League for the man who actually did it. But at work, Cleveland, you have at work as your computer analyst, banking analyst. You move on to a different role. Do you wish your guy succeeds? The guy fills your spot. Do you hope he succeeds, or do you want him to fail so it shows how important you were to the company?
Failure. I want him to fail. I
want him to fail
as well as I did.
Huh? You don't want to. So you're not helping him. You're not giving him those tips and secrets on the job.
Nah, figure it out. I wasn't good enough. Then yeah, man.
So Big Ben admits to rooting against Kenny Pickett to fail because he didn't want the Pittsburgh Steelers fans to forget about him. I mean.
That's way more corny after you've won like 2 Super Bowls and
that's what I'm saying.
You're like a Hall of Fame quarterback. Yeah, that's just like, oh wow. And you already even followed Terry Bradshaw who won for no. You already know what that feels like. So no.
Coming from Big Ben, I think that's entirely Bush League.
It's real petty. Yeah.
But if you think about it on the job, you put that same kind of thought process.
No, that's not nearly
it's different though.
Big Ben retired. And then it took him 2 years to find a quarterback. Not 1 year, 2 years to find one.
And this dude, but
he's hoping he runs off the side of the road just so he looks better. No, that's corny.
He comes out of his mouth and say to Ben, you can't tell nobody that. That's pillow talk, Ben. Come on.
That's not even pillow talk. That's just petty talk, man.
Well,
especially if you've already won to. Like, you're not even this dude's not even made a Super Bowl yet. What is the problem?
Yeah. That's wild. We got another rule change in the NFL that we have to touch on, Cleveland. Now the quarterbacks teams can now designate a third quarterback to their team without messing up the rest of the roster, because usually there's 53 players are available, and so if they want to have, they're playing against Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry that week, they may bring in another linebacker and sub out in place of a cornerback, for example. A run heavy team, they bring in a linebacker to play more snaps. Well, instead of messing with your roster, they'll be able to bring in that third quarterback if their first two are injured or can't go. That kind of makes sense. That's like a duh, actually. With these extended, I don't know if it's happened and it should happen with these extended games by them extending the season. The NFLPA, since so you see there's an issue here with the quarterback situation. That issue happens all over the field. So with 3 or 4 more players to our roster, to our game day roster, that should happen. What do you think about that?
They certainly should extend the amount of roster spots that there are on a team, but yeah, I mean the league is a quarterback centric league, so they focus there first. So
I mean, but
clearly that's where the experiment has to begin, is at the quarterback position, and hopefully it trickles down into, instead of practice squads, you just get like 15 extra spots, man. At some point, if you're playing 18 games, I mean, which is what the league is, going towards. So
that's what I don't know if that question is asked by the NFLPA, but that's definitely, this is an example. You're telling us already that you see the value in having extra roster spots. So go ahead and add a few more. Cleveland, independent investigation from San Diego State University found no wrongdoing by former Bills punter Matt Ariza, who was effectively kicked off the team at the beginning of the year. I don't know if you remember that he was accused of gang raping one of the girls. Well, it turns out the girl wasn't truthful. And again, an independent investigation found there was no wrongdoing. Will Ariza play in the NFL again, sir?
Man, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where, guilty until proven innocent type of thing, and that's kind of where they went with it. And I mean, he can go and appeal his case to everybody and be like, okay, well, I don't know if the tarnish is worth it. It's like, it's unfortunate what happened to you, but I don't.
We moved on. I mean, he's a punter. He's a punter. He's not a receiver. He's not like he lost a step. You know what I'm saying? He's a punter.
He hasn't lost a step, but I mean, he's also not bringing like tremendous value to your team. He's bringing like field position value, but I mean, do you want to deal with it or not? I mean, in all fairness, of course they should.
Should the Bills bring him back versus the team that cut him? Should the Bills bring him back?
I think that they should, but they're probably the least likely, because then they would be admitting that fault for, being very hasty and letting him go in the first place without letting due process work itself out. So
you got a point there. I think the Bills, if any team, I mean, unless he was University of Washington graduate, I'm not sure where the kid. I think he went to Arizona, if I'm mistaken. No, excuse me. He went to San Diego State. He went to San Diego State. There is no team in San Diego. What are the Chargers going to do it? Should the Chargers re-sign him? That'd be a good question for Staley. Yo, Ariza went through this issue and found there was no wrongdoing. What do you think about re-signing him? At least give him a tryout. I mean, I think at least he should get a tryout somewhere. So T. Woolen looks like he has some surgery. He's going to miss training camp. Does that mean the rookie's going to get a head up and get a chance to step into the starting role?
The rookie was already going to start, so it's just a matter of trying to.
The rookie was going to start. Who was the rookie going to start over?
He's starting on the right side.
Didn't both their corners make the All-Pro from last year or make the Pro Bowl?
Cornerback and safety.
But both of their cornerbacks were rookies last year, if I'm not mistaken. Am I mistaken? Did I get that wrong? They had 2 rookie cornerbacks, didn't they, last year?
They had Kobe Bryant was playing the nickel. I forgot who was playing the other side, but it doesn't matter. We drafted Witherspoon to be the other corner to Tariq Woolen.
Okay, I thought he was going to be the nickel.
No.
So the Chargers, they decided Austin Eckler was worth a few more dollars. They added a $1.7 million to incentives. What do you think this does for the Chargers? And does it fortify their backfield at all?
Oh, I don't think it really does anything for the Chargers, man. It just shows that the market for Austin Eckler was not what he thought it was. And they said, well, if he scored 17 touchdowns, we'll give you the extra millions that you want. But if you don't, then, whenever they say it's your contract's real incentive laden, that's tough to do, man. You start to think about Master P and that Ricky Williams contract. It's like, well, if you just do these things, you'll make a whole bunch of money.
Well, they had, if you rush for 2,000 yards,
no, it was like
you get $1 million.
Yo, it was like 2,300 yards.
Come on. I mean, dude.
Yeah.
Master P set him up like, well, if you're come down as one of the greatest running backs ever to live in your first year, then you'll make a few dollars. I mean, come on, Master P. I mean, Master P was young at his job. Green Bay awarded the draft in 2025. Do you like the way they're moving the draft around? It was in KC this past year.
That's cool. That gets everybody an opportunity, and especially very rabid fan bases. I think what you notice is that it's not in like these really huge metropolitan cities all the time. It's like Kansas City and Tennessee or Nashville and Green Bay, and that's cool. That gives, and all those guys can turn out in their colors and represent, and that's great, man. It's
so
just the draft.
You don't think it's going to be in LA or New York anytime soon?
I mean, eventually, of course, but it's not the same thing because it doesn't mean as much to them from the grassroots level as it does to some of these other cities.
Well, I tell you what, I went to the draft in 1999. In 1999, it was just by happenstance. It was just by, I was in New York and turned on the sports radio, and they're like, oh, the draft is about to happen from Madison Square Garden here in 45 minutes. I was like, look at the clock. Oh, let me figure out where Madison Square Garden is. And there was no cell phones. I couldn't type Madison Square Garden. So I had to ask somebody. I'm asking police officers, yo, how do I get to Madison Square Garden? So May 34th and 8th, made my way to Madison Square Garden, and crazy story, Cleveland. It was crazy. There was a long line, like in New York City. You could imagine with 9 million people live there. I pulled up in front of Madison Square Garden, and somebody pulled out of a spot right in front of the garden. Like they pulled out, I pulled in and walked directly across the street. It was crazy. I was like, on Sunday, I'm like, wow, okay, no parking, because parking it might cost you $55 for a half hour in some spots. Boom. So I park, get out, walk across the street, and I noticed there was a long line to my left, a long line, people in Giants gear, crazy. And again, it must have been now. When I heard this, it must have been 15 minutes after I heard the draft starts at 45 minutes. So I know it's happening pretty soon. I wasn't going to get in line. I was not going to go get in this line. I don't know what they were waiting for, but I wasn't going to get in that line. So I walked right up to the front door, and they're like, I'm like, oh, well, I'm here for the NFL draft. Is this an entrance? They're like, yeah, do you have a credential, a badge? I was like, no. And the lady was like, well, we can't let you in. So I'm standing there like, okay, now I'm looking around like, I don't know what, I'm not sure what I should do. But I'm standing right in front. So there's people behind me who actually have their credential. Right? And I'm like, so in this split second, like, I'm not sure what I should do. I'm not going to go stand in this line, but I don't want to really leave. I want to get into the damn draft. And so I turned like over my shoulder and looked, and I saw 3 or 4 suits behind me, and black dude walked up. I have no idea who this was. He walked up, and the guy says, well, do you have, he says, what's the problem? Said he doesn't have a credential. He took a credential out of his pocket, put it on my head, and said, come on. And so I was like, I didn't even know what, like, I couldn't even read the credential. Like, I didn't have time to read the credential. I went to follow him. And the lady was like, no, you can't do that. And he he already gave me the credential, and he moved on. And so as soon as she said that, I turned and looked. I'm like, let me follow dude. And as soon as he gave me the credential, I turned to the lady who said you can't go, and I turned around and kept walking down the hallway. And the dude, I went to go grab him and say thank you, but the dude was gone. He was in a blue suit, dark dude, had a little afro. He was gone. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. So I was in there. I don't know how much you heard that, but the dude, he disappeared like a ghost. He disappeared like a ghost in the thin air almost. But I have a credential. And so I go, this is the draft where Ricky Williams get drafted, Donovan McNabb, Achilles Smith. Donovan McNabb got, where'd he go? He went first. No, he didn't go first. Ricky Williams, Donovan McNabb, Achilles Smith was number 2. And I remember that Achilles Smith was number 2. So I just went in there, grabbed a seat, sat down. I was like, okay, let me see, scope out the room, what's going on, what, kind of get the layout of the room. I forget who went first. But Achilles Smith went second. So I saw where they get drafted and they go shake the hand with the commissioner, and then they come off and go to the side right there. So I was like, okay, let me go down to the side. I don't know what the hell's going on. Let me go check it out. So I went and so I'm waiting. As soon as they came off the stage, I'm right there with their handlers. So just looking back at it now, it had to be the team handlers and probably an agent or something. I'm standing right there, right next to him. I think I got sweats on. Achilles Smith, congratulations. What's good? Ricky Williams, what's good? What's good, Ricky? Achilles Smith's hands, bro. His hands were fucking huge. Like they wrapped around my hand. Donovan McNabb comes down. Donovan, what's good? Donovan McNabb. Again, his hands were massive. So I'm shaking all the players' hands as they come off the stage. Once Donovan McNabb got drafted, then I kind of went back, start meandering and kind of mingling around. But it was crazy. Like I have no idea who that dude was. Never saw him before, never saw him since. But he gave me a fresh credential to the 1999 NFL draft. In New York City. It was wild. It was just wild how it happened, but it was a good experience, a pretty cool experience. So Green Bay, it was ordered to draft, as you said, they move it around. Santa Clara gets awarded their second Super Bowl in 12 years. They had the Super Bowl in 2014. They get the next one in 2020, not the next one, but they get their second one in 2026. Haven't been to the new stadium in Santa Clara. Have you? Did you ever go to Candlestick? I went to Candlestick. I haven't been to the new stadium in Santa Clara. Candlestick does get cold. I will contest to that. In San Francisco, kind of gets kind of chilly, and there is a constant wind blowing in San Francisco. If you've ever been there, period, there is a constant wind because you're like on an island, similar to New York. You're on an island. The old stadiums. What was it?
Candlestick Park.
Candlestick did get cold in there. That did get cold. So that was pretty interesting, man. Anything else you want to touch on in NFL? Anything other news that I missed?
Oh yeah, I saw that my guy Aaron Rodgers is working out a little too hard there in the OTAs.
Exactly. I didn't even want to bring the Aaron Rodgers up. I didn't want to talk about it.
His calf a tad,
I didn't want to talk about it. Brittle.
All this extra work, dang. This is y'all be doing? This is why I be skipping this all the time. I don't do this.
Yeah. He's not used to it. He's not used to it. He's usually on the mountainside somewhere.
Running all hard in June and May. Come on, man. I don't do that.
Yeah, he's not gonna be ready. He's not gonna be ready. Oh, the hype.
He'll be ready, but now
the hype is too much.
What regular players do. Like
the hype.
I don't do all that.
The hype is too much. The Jets will stink this season. Book it now. You heard it from me. The Jets will stink this season. They're third place in NFC East.
Cam, that's not true.
Third place in AFC East
team, aren't they?
No, third place AFC East. I'm saying it right now. May 23.
Cam.
Third place in the AFC East. They're third in their division.
They're at least a playoff.
I don't think third place gets them in the division. I don't think the third place in your division gets you a playoff spot. I don't think so. We'll have that discussion later.
Bet you 2 pounds of ribs the Jets make the
I don't
playoffs.
have to make a bet. I don't have to justify what I'm saying by making a bet. I don't have to justify what I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now, third place in the AFC East. I don't have to justify that.
Yeah, fans, you heard all that blustering about
that.
third place.
Yeah,
I tried to put two elbows on the Jets making the playoffs. Man, that dude went and ran and hot.
What I gotta justify that for? I will say right now, we're looking at we're gonna get into some NBA talk here in a moment. What we got right now is Boston is up in Miami by 17, 100-83. They just hit a 3, so it's 86-100. Kyle Lowry hit a 3. So with just a little over 5 minutes to go, Boston looks like they're in control of this game. But this is about the time, 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. This is about the time where they just kind of choke up and spit up all over themselves. So I'll keep an eye on this and let you guys know. But this has been the time that they just kind of give it up right about now. It's right about this moment here that they just can't handle. Like that team in LA. They just can't handle things right about now. And what do you see? There's a block and Miami running to the bucket. Kyle Lowry throws a errant pass. So let's have the conversation, Cleveland. We got to talk about it. A couple things went on in the NBA over this past week, Cleveland. Reggie Miller, I sent you that clip. Did you hear what Reggie Miller had to say about a veteran, about mentors on the team? Did you hear that? Oh, you're gonna act like you didn't. You're gonna act like you didn't hear that.
Refresh my memory.
Reggie Miller says veterans need to be on the team. They need veterans on the team. That was a problem. That was a big problem with Memphis. Charles Barkley took it even a step further. Said each team should have somebody on their team over 35 years old.
Okay.
Again, same thing what I've been telling you about young players needing mentors, needing a veteran on their team. I've been trying to tell you this for weeks now, but you still don't believe me. But we have all Hall of Famers saying this. Are you willing to agree with me now?
Those are OGs. Both those guys drafted in the 80s. And yeah, that makes sense. And that's cool for when they was playing, but it's 2023 and that's just gonna be hard to find.
What do you think Udonis Haslem is doing on the bench for Miami? You think he's there because he looks good in a uniform?
It's a very unusual, rare occurrence. No other team has one of those.
What do you think Tristan Thompson was doing on the Lakers squad? What do you think? He wasn't there
trying to get closer to Chloe and see if they can patch things up.
I don't think Tristan was to patch things up. He went a different direction. He said Chloe wasn't enough for him. Again, you think he was brought in just for the 7 points he scored last night? No, he wasn't. He was brought in there for some leadership. Before we get into your Laker conversation, though, I got a lot of questions about your Laker squad. Fans, you guys are going to – some of you guys will – maybe there's some of you guys who agree with me, but I think there's many more that will disagree with me. And it's a whole society. I've been looking for some answers. I've been asking young cats. I've been asking old cats. I'm looking for somebody to explain to me the allure of Carmelo Anthony. Since he left Syracuse, I should have some cues on today while I'm talking about it. Since he left Syracuse, and I will commend him for one thing. One thing I do know is he gave the school $15 million for their practice facility, and they obviously named it after him. The Carmelo Anthony practice dome, I think it is. Since he left Syracuse and won his championship there, NCAA championship, I am lost on the allure and the cultural impact that Carmelo Anthony has had. I don't get it. Somebody, please help me understand the impact and why people are fawning over this dude. Cleveland, I'll start with you.
Well, Cameron, first and foremost, Carmelo Anthony is one of the most misunderstood athletes of the 21st century.
What? How is he misunderstood? He has a voice, right? He has a voice. He has a platform. He can share his comments. Well, misunderstood? How is he misunderstood? Help me out.
Is because people would not accept Carmelo for who he was and what he was, man.
What, a bum? A sucker who would punch somebody and run on the other side of the court? What I'm supposed to accept that? That's the attitude I'm supposed to accept? What were people supposed to accept about this dude?
what they were supposed to accept is that he never told you he was going to be a role model. He never told you he was going to teach your children right and wrong. He never told you he was going to lead by example. He never told you he was going to be the first person in the gym and the last person to leave. All that he ever signed up for is that I get buckets, man. And when I walk in the gym in a black Sharpie pen, you can write down 28 points every time. There have not been 10 people in the history of basketball that have scored more points than Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, please come on, explain the lure of Carmelo Anthony. That doesn't get it for me.
Kevin Durant was on a tear. Was going to win like what 7, 8 straight scoring titles. Who came in and stopped it? Melo the God. I don't know. Did you see the game in London when he went for 34 points in 14 minutes in the Olympic game? It's ridiculous, man.
Okay, that was the Olympics. Come on, that was they're playing against. Who were they playing against? The country of Georgia. Was they play? I mean, come on.
It was another Olympic team. But you get my point here.
I mean, again, the country of Georgia. This is the United States of America versus
to do all these other
the Netherlands.
He
put up 30 points on the Netherlands.
When he was his most successful, he wasn't able to do.
Carmelo Anthony was no better. He's no better than Dominique Wilkins. No, he was.
That's not true.
What do you mean? Dominique Wilkins, the human highlight. He has more lore. He was robbed in the dunk. He won a dunk contest and was robbed in another one. He has more lore to me, in my opinion, than Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony no better than Charles Barkley. Well, no better than Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley's on a whole different level. But Carmelo Anthony, the modern day Dominique Wilkins. Am I wrong? Tell me where I'm wrong.
I disagree. I mean, he certainly has had opportunities to be, a franchise player. Unfortunately, the franchise has never put enough talent around him to really, see that come to fruition. But I mean, he tried his hardest. I mean, he went to the Garden and did his thing, man.
No, he went to the Garden after Amari Stoudemire revived New York in the Garden.
No.
Come on, where you at? Where you at? I'm gonna send you the link right now.
He put that in. I mean, Amari went first, but yeah, man, he was a shell. He was a shell of his former self. Amari Stoudemire is the greatest one-trick pony in the history of the league. He was a super duper player when doing the pick and roll with Steve Nash, who won the MVP 2 times in a row, and he was doing that, but he couldn't do anything else. He couldn't stay healthy.
You got the email. I want to hear somebody else's opinion on this. Carmelo Anthony, no better than Amari Stoudemire. No better than Dominique Wilkins. Went to New York. First of all, he couldn't get it done in Denver. First, that's number one. That's a numero uno. And unfortunately, I might have a different opinion, and this is not entirely Carmelo's fault, but I really might have a different opinion if Joe Dumars makes the right trade or makes the right pick. If he goes to the Pistons,
with your veteran leadership and that,
if he goes to the
and then he gets
if he goes to the Pistons, if he goes to the Pistons and then puts up his 20 points a game, because that's exactly what they needed. They might have won 2 or 3 championships had that happened. That didn't happen. So in one way, I don't really fault Carmelo for that. But what I fault him for is he couldn't get it done in Denver. He had AI. He had the point guard Kenyon Martin. They couldn't get it done.
Kenyon Martin?
Kenyon Martin was in Denver before he went to New Jersey.
Oh.
That Denver squad.
So that was.
I want to say Chauncey. I want to say Chauncey Billups was there.
And who was their coach?
This is basketball, right? Isn't this basketball where the players roll out and make the difference?
Yeah, except for we always talk about George Karl and his inability to do what in the playoffs.
They got to one time they get to the Western Conference. The one time that was that was his crowning achievement. Get to the
In
Western
the Western
Conference.
Conference. I mean, the Western Conference is pretty tough, Cam. How many times have the Clippers been in the Western Conference Finals with all that talent?
Did they have Carmelo?
I mean, they had Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan and JJ Redick and Jamal Crawford.
You got the link. You got the link.
Leonard,
Click, come on in.
and PG-13 and Bones Nyland and Patrick Beverly and just on and on and on. It's hard to get to the Western Conference Finals, my dude. You're seeing it. In 2023, it's hard to do.
We're talking about 15 years ago.
15 years ago, it was hard to do. It's
when he had
always hard
Allen
to get to the
Iverson,
Western Conference Finals.
another cultural icon.
After like 9 years of being in Philadelphia, he traded for it. So what?
You tell me, explain, Mr. Clint, explain to me the allure, the cultural
when you build up
allure.
a parlay with your favorite NBA players, it has to.
Hold on a second, I'm trying to plug in. Yeah.
Explain to the fans the cultural allure of Mr. Carmelo Anthony, because Cleveland has
It's the modern day George Gervin, man. It's a 2.0 version.
He ain't do nothing to me. He ain't do nothing to me. I'm just stating facts right here. Stating facts. I'm trying to understand, and I want the fans to tell me where I'm wrong. I haven't seen it out of Carmelo Anthony. I'm about winning. I'm about winning and making it happen. And Carmelo Anthony had his chance to win. He didn't do it. All he do is put up numbers. That's not enough for me. You got to be a leader. You got to carry your team, take your team somewhere. Carmelo Anthony didn't do it. What is the allure for Carmelo Anthony? Clint, you're on.
Hold on, I'm not plugged in yet.
So, Cats, people are just coming at me, but no, I'm not getting no explanation of what the allure is for Carmelo Anthony. I don't get it. Is it Lala? People want to say, oh, he pulled Lala for the last 5 years. He got Lala. Is that it? I mean, that's not a bad
he
pull.
was Melo the God before that.
That's
man.
not a bad pull.
I mean, he's
explain to me the allure.
He's a quintessential hooper, man. He's not necessarily the best basketball player on your team. He might not necessarily be out there, fighting for loose balls, man. But
yeah, exactly. He's not going to lead the squad.
He's your go-to guy.
No, he's not a go-to guy.
They
didn't do anything.
Absolutely.
But he was the go-to.
Absolutely is.
What did the New York Knicks do when they had him, Carmelo, leading the squad? What did they do?
They surrounded him with Tyson Chandler and Amari Stoudemire and several other unmentionable bums, man. That's not enough to do anything.
Amari Stoudemire revived the New York Knicks. Carmelo Anthony tried to take it over. He tried to take it over.
Hold up now. Amari Stoudemire's aging all of a sudden, man.
No,
that guy is
he revived the New York Knicks before Carmelo came to the squad. Amari Stoudemire had the New York Knicks humming. He comes to there. Carmelo takes over.
And Carmelo came and ruined the whole show.
Pretty much. He didn't do anything.
Okay.
They didn't get any further.
Apparently, you don't remember any of those knee injuries. Wow, that's crazy.
New phone. I got a new phone now. You guys have bear with me. Okay, so
you're funny. You're funny, SB. You're funny.
Okay, so all right. I don't even know where to start. Let's start from the beginning.
So that was my question is, you're a baller. My question is, what is the allure of Carmelo Anthony and the cultural? How does he become a cultural icon for doing nothing? At least AI changed the game. At least AI culturally changed the task, cornrows. Okay, I can kind of get this.
All right.
And he carried his team to the NBA Finals. He alone. They built the team around him. He did have Theo Ratliff and Dikembe, but he essentially, Eric Snow, McKee, he essentially carried that team to the NBA Finals. We can say that unequivocally. We can say AI carried them to the finals and beat Shaq and Kobe in a time when they were essentially unbeatable. What did Carmelo Anthony ever do that he gets all this praise? I don't get it.
Well, let's start from the beginning.
Boston up by 15 with 30 seconds to go.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So Carmelo Anthony's his whole thing started, and get this, and you got Cam, stay with me because you're probably I'm gonna lose you on this take, but it'll make sense to a lot of the other people that follow Melo. So Melo started out at one of the powerhouse high schools in the country, in Oak Hill.
Hill, say that.
Right.
Start there. Start at
No,
Oak Hill.
Countless players have gone to Oak Hill and played under that system, and that one the co I'm forgetting his name right now. Carmelo already had high school All-American vibes already, right? This was right on the edge of social media really picking up. Okay, one of his games that was nationally televised, and this is where a lot of people started picking him up besides the high school All-American game, was the game against St. Vincent St. Mary's. And Carmelo Anthony didn't do too bad in that game. I mean, he didn't outshine. He wasn't the highlight. But people that follow Carmelo and love pure scores, people that they feel have killer instinct, that's what Carmelo had. So he picked up a lot of fan base. Before he went to Syracuse, he already had a fan base coming up, right? They watched him in the high school All-American game. He did okay. He didn't do much, but he showed flashes. Once he got to Syracuse and they won that national championship, and he was basically
with Jerry McNamara.
With McNamara and the one cat that blocked that blocked the shot to save that won the title.
Yeah. Okay.
Once he got to that point,
it was other people that helped him. It wasn't like he went out there.
He was the main guy scoring though. He was the main guy putting the ball in the bucket, and that was what they needed. McNamara wasn't going to win them a title. Neither was that other cat that came off the bench. I can't remember his name either.
I was quasi rooting for him. I like Cuse. I like Cuse even back then.
Right.
Not because I go to school there now, but I like Cuse back then. So I was kind of
I wasn't rooting against him. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I wasn't rooting against him.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But
then
when he got to Denver, he was playing the same way he was playing his freshman year at Syracuse. Dude was a walking bucket. Dude, he was a matchup problem. He was big. He was strong. He took hard fouls because he couldn't really play defense. All they did was play goddamn zone in Syracuse. Excuse my French. So he was hitting by Birdman and a couple of the other cats that they had, where they actually had some veterans that could play some good team defense, good defense, and he hit, and they did well. They did well, and they did better than people thought they were going to do. And he was one of the focal points of that, and that's what started this whole push for Melo. Not to mention all that nonsense that he was getting involved with in Maryland, that Junior John Morant stuff that he almost got caught up in.
So
people gravitated to that. That's why he had the base that he had. That's the start of it.
Let me tell you. I tell you actually where Melo lost me. And I don't know. I should have pulled this up. I should have had this. But when Melo, he was in Denver and he punched dude. I don't remember who he punched.
I remember.
I don't remember who he punched. But
I remember.
He punched dude and not. It wasn't like he punched him and hid behind a player or two. This dude ran to the other side of the court. He sprinted. He punched my man and sprinted all the way to the other side of the court. Clint, do you remember that?
That was a low light in Melo's career.
Now you want to play gangster. You want to be Mr. Tough Guy. Somebody gets in your face. You punched him, and then you run to the other side of the court. It wasn't like he punched him and stood there. Like at least Chris Childs gave Kobe. He gave Kobe a 1-2. Was like, "What's up?" Carmelo ran to the other side of the court.
Well,
I think that's what lost me.
Yeah, he did run to the other side of the court, and even then, I had a problem with that too, because he also, the other part of it is, the fight was over. The fight,
right? It was like a cheap shot. It was like a cheap shot.
All of a sudden, Carmelo came out of nowhere and socked this guy in the mouth. Now, here, if you go back and look at that fight, from what
I should have pulled that up.
Melo was still on the outskirts. Like, he didn't run from the fight.
He ran to the other side of the court.
Like,
he ran from under one backboard to the other backboard. That's what he did.
Went at him. J.R. Smith swung at him. Nate ducked, picked him up, slammed him, and that's when everybody started piling on. Carmelo was still there. He wasn't like in it.
Dog.
He was still there though. So
he ran from under one backboard to the other backboard.
I'm not marking that whole thing against him. I'm just saying, if I'm with you, Cam. If you're gonna take a swing, you might as well take a swing in the middle, not where everybody's all let down their guard and all of a sudden you just sock somebody in the mouth and then back up.
That's where I was totally.
I get that part of it. That's a low light for Melo.
But now we got both of you guys. Now we got Mr. 0.3% showing these memes all over the social media. Now we got 0.3%, and you want to give them credit for coming back from 13 down to number 7 in making the play-in tournament and to making it to the Western Conference Finals. Clint, do you remember? You got to remember this when LeBron lost. I forget. He lost in the playoffs. I don't think it was the finals. Warriors. And then after the finals, he came to the press conference with the brace on his wrist. Do you remember that? You remember he came with the brace?
2018.
That was after
they lost to the Warriors. Yep.
Last night, he's threatened to retire. I'm done. I got so much to think about. I don't know if this team's good enough.
Okay,
what are you doing, dog?
That's not the equivalent. That's not the equivalent.
And that is
not the equivalent.
You know what that is.
You know who that was for? That was straight up for Plink.
Exactly.
You guys have been praising Pelinka ever since February for this moves he made all season long. Oh, he's been doing this and that. And he made this team. He got a good team in here.
That's kind of what he's supposed to be doing.
Exactly. You're in LA. You're in the Lakers. You are following the footsteps of the. So I don't know what the standards have gone down because he's gone. I don't think so.
Come on, you're telling me though he comes in here threatening to retire. So you're putting the pressure on Pelinka after he brings in all these guys, and you guys are rolling now. Where you can now literally just float around the outside of the rim, not play any defense. You don't have to. You're not the key focal point of the game anymore. You can rely on Austin Reeves. You can rely on Rui Hachimura to step up. Somebody nicknamed him Hibachimura. That was pretty cool. But you can rely on these different guys to step up and play their game. And now you're going to put the pressure on Pelinka? That's what you're doing?
Absolutely, 100%. They need one more superstar. They're one superstar light of a championship. It's painfully obvious. They thought that they had it with Westbrook, and no, that wasn't the answer. How your Clippers working out with that?
No. Every time I talk about the Lakers, people want to always bring up the Clippers.
I wonder why.
I know.
Let's focus on what the
try and throw rocks, living in a glass house.
Done.
Exactly.
Let's stay on topic and talk about how the Lakers get swept out by Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Let's talk about that.
Those guys.
Well, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that. Let's do this. We're gonna talk about how and I can't. You lucky.
You need to back up from the camera so people.
I'm trying to find something. We can go back. Let's even talk about how we even got there in the first place, which you, for many of the other Laker haters, said we weren't even gonna make it out of the 13th seed. So I don't understand. I know our standards are high, but I don't know. As a Clippers fans, I don't know why your standards are higher for us than they are for you. That's what I don't understand. I mean, you really want to talk about it? Let's talk about it.
I don't know how the Clippers are in this conversation.
What's the no? I have to bring the Clippers up so I can give a contrast. I have to give a contrast.
In the Western Conference Finals. The Clippers weren't in the Western Conference Finals. So why are we talking about the Clippers? They had injured players. Why are we talking about the Clippers? They took Westbrook. They took
what's
Westbrook.
The injury? What's the injury to you? I told you we had injured players. He's just making excuses. It's just excuses. I was like, okay, all right, we making excuses. So now you want to drag us because
in the Clippers in the conversation. I don't get it.
Here's the thing. We're 8 games away from trying to win a title.
Art of deflection. This is the art of deflection.
No, I'm trying to bring up a contrast. I'm trying to bring up a contrast. And then the Clippers fans want to say, "Oh, why are you talking about old stuff? Well, the season's is this season. Let's talk about this season. You're talking about today. Clippers been in Cancun for 2 months already. So now you want to drag us because
what we talking about the Clippers for?
I'm trying. Like I said, I'm trying to draw a contrast.
This is the art of distraction.
No, it's not.
In any argument, you
Okay,
bring up
so
the red herring so we can talk about this, and we're not talking about this anymore.
Contrast.
That's it. It's called the
Contrast.
red herring. That's it.
It's called contrast.
We're going to talk about all this over
It's
here.
called
We're going to talk about all this over here, but we're not going to talk about what the topic is. Guys getting swept in the playoffs.
Hold on, wait.
I'm gonna bring it back here to the conversation.
Whose topic though? You brought this question up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to give you. I'm trying to.
We've been doing an autopsy on all the teams who are out of the playoffs. That's what we've been doing. So right now it's the Lakers autopsy. It's the Lakers autopsy. And
all 29 of them. All 2019, y'all went through all 29 teams already.
All teams that have been eliminated.
No. The autopsy is always much more intense when it involves the Los Angeles.
Oh, of course. Okay, there we go. Thank you for the clarification, Clea. I appreciate that.
His appreciation for the demise, and it's not even really a demise. I mean,
it's not.
They lost to the Denver Nuggets. I mean, the game.
Why you guys
came down to game?
Explain to me why you guys threatened to retire.
The series came down to game 2, Cam, and everybody knows this.
Game 2. No, it was.
No, it came down to game 2,
and you guys still haven't won a game.
When Jamal Murray went off for 23 in the fourth quarter in game 2, that was a series changer.
LeBron went off for 31 last night.
That wasn't the same thing.
It meant nothing. It meant nothing, huh? Is that what that is, though? Okay. Let me answer your question on the simple level. Since you want a simple answer, I'm going to give you a simple answer to your simple question as far as us getting swept out of the Western Conference Finals.
I hear you trying to make a point there.
No, I'm just saying, dog. I got those games.
Go ahead.
Denver. As we come in, and I'll be honest with you, after game 1, I was like a lot of Laker fans and some of the other, experts that rove around just like you, Cam. They said, you know what, that was not entirely a bad loss because of the way that they came back. It looks like they may have found something in their comeback, and they were a couple shots away from basically making it a game, and actually, had a chance to win in a few of those positions. So with that going into game 2, we felt the same way. And the game didn't start out the same as it did, in game 1, which is great for us. The issue was we underestimated the power of the Denver front line.
A teamwork.
So what have we done the whole playoffs? What have we done? What do we do to Memphis? What do we do to the Warriors? Mostly out of 3 things. What do we do to them that we weren't able to do to Denver?
Both is dominating in the paint. Dominating paint. You couldn't do that against an actual team who was healthy. You couldn't do that. You guys
not necessarily. That's part of it. That's part of it.
You played good defense and dominated the paint. But Clint, we're not going to spend. We can't spend all night on this team who got swept out the league. Out of the playoffs. We can't spend all night. But I do have some key questions I just want to know from Laker fans, kind of what's going on. You guys haven't answered why my man threatened to retire.
What? You got a plane to catch or something? What's going on?
We got a guest coming on. We're going to talk some boxing.
Okay.
We got some news. So what your man threatened to retire? What type of leadership is that, Clint? Your man threatening to retire or take a year off. What kind of leadership is that?
What's he supposed to do?
Gather his bunch, gather his troops. You guys talked about how good Pelinka. This was crazy about it. You guys talked about how good Pelinka, what a great job he did, bringing in these different players. Hachimura, bringing in Vanderbilt, who was playing pretty good, and how these keys to your team was can't be able to carry you guys. You guys talked about how great of a job that was. Now you're saying somebody needs to put the pressure on him to do something else. I don't get it. Because he put a team together that did get you guys to the Western Conference Finals.
I'll give you a few more acquisitions that he made too. He brought in Marc Gasol with no legs. He also brought in Wes Matthews Jr., who
Sure did.
I wish I was hoping he was going to make
And
a
where
shot
did
at
that
one point or
3-point
another.
shooting that was the year
Exactly.
before? Where did it go when he came to LA?
I was hoping he was going to make a
I'm
wide
still
open
makes
shot
a
for
lot
us,
about
which
that.
he did not.
Preach on.
He did not make a wide open shot for us. No. Wait, Cam, I'm not done. There's more. There's more. But who's that one front running dude that was talking all that mess with Phoenix? What's his name? He actually went to three consecutive NBA finals. He went with I'm forgetting his name right now. He went with Milwaukee, he went with Phoenix, and he also he went with it with Miami too.
Not Chandler, excuse
No,
me.
no. The dude with the dreads.
Crowder.
Yeah, we brought him in too. Now I'm not gonna kill him too much because his mom passed right around that time too. So he wasn't really shooting the way that we all thought he was going to shoot. No, I'm just telling me who's supposed to bring in the dudes. I'm telling you who's bringing in the dudes. He brought in those dudes. He got rid of He got rid of McGee. He got rid of Dwight. Rondo was going to go anyway. We weren't going to keep him. He got rid of Caruso. Everybody loved Caruso, but he got rid of Caruso because Caruso couldn't shoot.
You guys typically lowball your players anyway.
Don't look at me. You're asking me who he's bringing in. I'm telling you who he's bringing in and why why we're pressing him every single year to make sure he continues to bring the right people in. Right? So so since you guys want to half on LeBron's GM, half off LeBron's not the GM, LeBron brought in Westbrook. And for one, I thought that was going to work. Cam, you told me the whole year that it wasn't going to work. I'll give you credit for that. Westbrook wasn't going to change. LeBron couldn't change him. AD couldn't change him. And he was a train wreck. He didn't do nearly what he did with the other four teams. And I know why. Because it's LA and the lights are brighter than they are in Washington, OKC, Houston, and wherever the fuck else he went. Now, with that said, we had a bunch of young talent when LeBron first got here. We were in the fourth position until he tore his groin, came back too soon, and we missed the playoff. He said, according to you guys, get all these young cats out of here and let's go get AD. F the picks. Let's go get AD. We'll build around AD. All you guys are like, oh, LeBron, he's the GM. Oh, he's getting rid of all these players. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing. We were number one seed before the 4-month break.
Let me
number one.
Let me speed this up. Since you brought up AD, would you trade AD for Kyrie?
Hell no. Kyrie don't play no D. That's the problem with y'all. This is it. This is the problem with y'all. See, you talk bad about Carmelo Anthony. At least he played a little defense. Kyrie don't play no D. And he's about 4 or 5 inches taller than Kyrie. And you started the program when I came in. You started crapping on Melo just right off the top. I don't know how you crap on a dude that's ninth in all time in scoring. I have no idea. I don't know when that stopped. When did the all-time scoring
mean nothing?
When did that stop? When did that stop? You know what? I know when it stopped meaning something. It stopped meaning something when that one dude named LeBron James passed Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant in a Los Angeles Lakers uniform. That's exactly when it happened. And I'll give you an example too. So Steph Curry.
That's nice try.
Best shooter in NBA history, right? Better than that. Ray Allen, better than Miller, better than all of them. Better than all those cats. You guys praise him to the high heavens. Just like you did Melo, which I don't disagree with Melo or Curry, because they're both great.
Steph is a team player. Steph has 4 championships. Are you comparing Carmelo Anthony to Stephen Wardell Curry? Shame on you.
You mean the one guy that has only been the best player on his team in 4 of his championships? You mean that guy? That
guy has 4 of them. Again,
yeah, but
again, Clint.
Is he a Finals MVP? He got one, right? He got one. At least he got one.
He got one. Of you guys don't understand.
He got the one.
This is what some people don't understand. You have to play the politics. To be as best as you can be in sports, you have to play politics. You have to be a team player. You have.
And why are you so bad at LeBron right now? That's exactly what he's doing right now. You call it selfish. He's trying to get. Hey, he's telling you, Rob, I'm not gonna be around forever, man. We got something here. We're in the conference finals. I might be thinking about retirement until you come up and you give me something. Give me something to make me not retire. That's what he's doing for the team. You want to say he's doing it for himself, but
go wrap your arms around Austin Reeves. Go wrap your arms around Rui Hachimura. Go wrap your arms around AD and tell him, you got to get the best of AD. That's your responsibility, LeBron. Rob brought him in. LeBron, now you get the best from this guy. You get something more than 20 and 14 every other night. You get some more out of them.
That's the thing you guys are missing. You're looking at the points. You're not looking at he's getting the same damn shots he's getting the nights he's having monster games. After he's getting monster, he's getting the same shots. Whose fault is he that he's missing? Whose fault is he missing? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying with Wes Matthews. Wes Matthews had the most wide open shots with the Lakers than he had ever had in his entire life, and he was bricking like he was getting double teamed every damn play. Now I'm sitting here telling you he's getting the same shots and missing them. Whose fault is that? Now that's LeBron's fault because he's not making the same shots he was making in the game before.
So you're telling me AD can't get it done? Is basically what I'm hearing.
Don't look at me. I don't know. I don't know why he's missing shots he made. He had what did he have? He had 40 and 10 in what, game 3 or something like that?
And then the next night he was 20 and 11, something
on
like
the
that.
Same shots. Do you understand I'm saying the same shots? So if you have 40 and 10 on one night, it was AD.
Is that AD? Is that LeBron? That's your team? Is that your coaching? Because it's a player's game. Whose fault is it that he can't be consistent?
It's him.
Okay, there it is. There.
So who else could it be?
So let's look at the autopsy. My next question is: there's a trade on the table. Rui and
Stop. Nope, I'm not listening to any trades for Rui. Stop. Next question.
You're not going to be able to sign Rui. You're not going to be able to sign Rui and Austin Reeves. You're not going to sign Rui and Austin Reeves. You already know.
Hey, Clee, say it with me. Next.
Yeah. Moving right along.
Next
so
question, please.
Who do you
How come you can't sign Rui and Clee? You can't sign D'Lo Clee, or you can't sign D'Lo Reeves and Rui. You can't do that. Reeves falls under the Bird clause. Yes, he can.
You're not going to pay him 30. You're not paying.
No, he's not getting 30. We're not going to pay him 30. We'll pay him 20.
There's a low ball. That's exactly what I'm talking about. There's a low ball.
Why is that a low ball for Austin Reeves?
Exactly. Phoenix lowballed Ayton. They lowballed Ayton to get him back. They let somebody offer him like some amount of money that wasn't.
The deflection is coming up again. So when Memphis offers or Austin Reeves 4 years, 120, you guys are going to offer him what? You guys are going to offer him 4 years at 32?
What is 4 years, 120? 30? Yeah, he's not getting much more of a 20 from us. But that's the whole thing. Why didn't you say that with Ayton? When they made that offer to Ayton, because Phoenix was supposed to be able to pay him the max, and they said, you know what, go out there and field some offers, and then come back with the offers. Those offers were less than what the Phoenix could have maxed him out, though, and then they basically pay him less because the market says, okay, yeah, so they're going to pay you that. We'll pay you what they were going to pay you.
Portland, I think, offered him not the max, but Portland offered him.
Well, they couldn't offer him the max. They couldn't. They made him a qualifying offer, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
They had the opportunity to max that.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Phoenix could have signed him before that and signed him for more money, and they didn't.
That was bad management. That was bad management on Phoenix.
So what is this?
I mean, that's a different story because Ayton hasn't proved to be the value that Rory and/or Reeves has been. That was terrible management on Phoenix's part not to pay him. And they said, okay, well, we're not gonna pay you the max. Go see what you can get elsewhere. And they ended up matching whatever. They should have just let him walk. Is what they should have did. If they really didn't want him, they should have let him walk. But it was
Dude,
bad.
you can't. No, you. Okay, stop it. Stop.
They should have.
You're talking like a fan now. You can't let him. You can't let $120 million player just walk. That's the whole thing with Dallas. Trying to letting Kyrie walk. You gonna let Kyrie walk?
Well, Dallas, that's a different scenario. That's a
It's
different.
it's a different player. The scenario is the same as far as the team goes. Oh yeah, no.
Eight was never option 1, 2, or 3 for Phoenix. It never was and was going or was going to be option 1, 2, or 3 for Phoenix.
On offense, he wasn't. On defense, he was.
They want him to be that defensive stopper, but he hasn't grown into that role.
That's fine. I hear what you're saying,
Dallas,
but he was still. They needed him for defense.
Dallas wasted their picks, and if they don't re-sign Kyrie, they wasted their picks if they don't re-sign Kyrie. That what makes this amusing that Laker fans think Kyrie is going to come to the Lakers, because now you're going to have to give up something to Dallas for him to come there.
He's not coming to the Lakers, man. I mean, I know he's sitting in the front row and basically putting pressure on D'Lo. You can't bring Kyrie to the Lakers unless we do like a 3-way team, and it has to make sense, because we're gonna have to give up a first-round pick, and then you see how they didn't want to give up a first-round pick to get it done. So no, dude.
Right, SB. I'm trying to get through this autopsy. These guys are holding me up. So who do you prioritize? You can't get Reeves and Hachimura. Who do you prioritize?
I don't understand why you can't. How can you? How can you not?
That and you let D'Lo walk. That's how it's
going to go. D'Lo walks.
Vanderbilt, Beasley, those guys are gone too.
No, Vanderbilt
stays. Beasley can probably. If we sign Beasley, we'll probably sign him for like the vet minimum or the vet. Whatever the bet minimum is, or whatever if he wants. I don't even know if he has a player option or whatever the case may be. I think it's a team option. But
okay, Clint. So we saw the Miami Heat smacking around the Boston Celtics, and Boston Celtics get a win tonight. So this kind of changes the conversation a little bit. But
spoiler alert.
There's no spoiler alert. I'm just
saying it's a spoiler. Oh, you did. Okay, all right, good. So yeah,
31. But what I'm saying is the Celtics. I mean, I had a couple questions because I thought they were going to lose tonight. Several questions, but the Celtics getting smacked around as it was. Is that Missoula? Did that put Missoula on the hot seat? Or is it the players, Cleveland, with Tatum and Brown? Do you have to break up that duel? Like that's two questions in one. What do you guys think?
You start with the players. It's always up to the players to win at this time of the year, right? It's up to the coaches to make adjustments if the superstar players aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, capable of doing, and putting them in positions to succeed.
So
JT and Jalen have not been up to the task against a team far less talented than them. You get the one, that's great, but you got 3 more to get, and that's highly unusual. Actually, it's never happened, but if it could ever happen, this would be an ideal situation for it, because ultimately they have more talent than Miami.
They're not going to beat Miami 3 more times.
I don't believe they will, but this would be.
So do you break up that combination? Do you break up that combination? I mean, they went to the finals last year. They're in the conference finals this year. Now your boy is going to get the match.
It comes down to, does the combination break itself up? Is Jaylen Brown willing to play the number 2 role? I've heard he's not. I heard he kind of wants his own thing.
I don't know about that. He's going to take. They're going to offer the max. Boston is he had Larry Bird, right? So they can offer him 220, I think, like 5 years, 220, something like that. So if it's about the money, he's going to stay there. But does it make sense for the team to keep both of those guys on the squad? Like they're gonna. Right now, they got Brogdon. They brought in Brogdon. They brought in Derek White. They got Time Lord.
Makes sense to run it back because the East has not really established itself as really recalibrating itself, and the top teams are not that formidable. Milwaukee certainly has weaknesses, and they already beat Philadelphia with the NBA MVP on it. So
All right, Cleveland. So now this Cleveland came up. I don't know if you've been paying attention. Cleveland came up with the felonious player rankings category. Cleveland. Now, I want to know, Cleveland, how these players. Where do you have now? Nikola Jokic. He wasn't a first timer. You had him. He had to be a usual suspect. Now that he got his team to the Western or NBA Finals by sweeping your guy, does that put him in the basketball god category?
No.
He has more triple doubles than any center has had in the league in the playoffs.
That's
no,
amazing. Those statistics that you just rattled off are amazing. He's still a usual suspect. He's not extended to a basketball god just yet.
Jamal, where's Jimmy Butler? Same place?
Jimmy Butler's actually carved out an unusual niche for himself. He's a basketball legend.
Oh my goodness! Now
he's not a basketball guy.
He hasn't won anything.
Clee, well said.
All right, fans. Clinton, you can hang around if you want to, but we're about to get into some boxing talk right now. We're going to the one and only. Let me bring him on the show. The one and only KO artist. You stopping an argument right now.
Is that good? I don't know. Is that a good thing?
we can go on for hours on this argument, but it's nice to have you on the show. I haven't seen you in a while, big guy.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you, Cam.
Yeah, obviously watching your work, Mr. Steve Carreno. Did I get it right?
Carreno. Yeah, close enough.
Hey, I'm trying, big dog. I'm trying. Hey, we got some fantastic boxing news. We got some fantastic news for boxing fans today. It's about time. But let's jump right into it. For those of you who know or who don't know, first of all, Steve is one of my guys from one of the guys I really respect covering the boxing game. I respect, and I'm gonna be 100% honest. I've been dabbling in this. My first fight was Deontay Wilder and Fury won at the Staples Center. That was my first fight.
Tell us something. Okay.
And
not bad for our first one. Is it?
I wasn't sure how big that was. I wasn't sure how big that was going into it. Obviously, afterwards, it's been what it is. But in LA, we get to cover a lot of events, boxing warm-ups, not really the fight. When what is it called? Help me out, Steve. When they're warming up before the fight, just the training.
Like the media workouts, or what do you mean?
Media workouts. There you go. Thank you. And then we get a chance to talk to the fighters. But Steve pulled me aside one day. I'm asking some crazy questions, and Steve pulled me aside. It's like, Cam, you can't ask the boxers what do they think about this, because they're going to tell you they can beat everybody's ass. You got to mix your questions up. You got to mix it up a little bit. So I really respect Steve for pulling me aside and being like, help showing me the ropes, and he knows what he's doing. So really,
I'm trying.
Bullshit. He knows what he's doing, fans. And so I really respect Steve, not only for that, but Steve is prepared. He comes with his notebook filled, ready to ask the real deal questions. I think I ask great questions. Steve comes really prepared. So check him out, KO Artist on YouTube. KO Artist on, I see you on Twitter, you on TikTok, and you got the whole gamut now. KO Artist, check him out. Subscribe to his page, because Steve really comes with it, and he brings great content. Fans, if you haven't heard yet, I'm telling you. Yeah. KO Artist Sports. Correct me where I'm wrong. The news is we get Crawford and Spence 7/29, July 29th this year. That's awesome. And with the rematch clause. So now I'm a little, so the rematch, the way I read the press report is there's a rematch clause, and then if there's a trilogy, it's going to be early in 2024. Now that has me scratching my head a little bit.
So
Steve,
it's the way the rematch clause works is if the loser obviously has the right to enact it. I will want to say Coppinger said, Mike Coppinger of ESPN said it was within 30 days of the fight, right? Which is, the rumor is July 29th. So whoever loses can decide to enact it And then I want to say, at least from what the rumors were the first time around, they get like the lesser split of the purse. I don't know if that's what it is this time around. I know that's what the rumor was last time. But Crawford's deal is only 2 fights. So
so the trilogy is that's not quite
not
accurate.
like anything guaranteed at all. It's just, I mean, who knows, right? What if the winner wins twice? Or what if the loser doesn't want the rematch necessarily because maybe, I don't know, maybe it was bad for them. I don't know who, I mean, it's a lot of, to be honest, the fight's not even signed yet. So we're really kind of getting ahead of ourselves, like kind of a lot.
So I was just, when I saw that report and I saw him talking about the trilogy, it just scratched my head. Like, are they already planning for a trilogy?
Yeah, we gotta. I know we've had a good year. Us boxing fans have had a good year, and it's it's going good, and we kind of wanted to keep going. Obviously, with this announcement, it sounds like it's going to be good, right? But I mean, first things first, right? Let's see them in the ring together. Let's get to July 29th. Let's because even though we all saw that report and it's Coppinger, it's ESPN. I mean, we've seen it before, right? We saw it for March, for November 19th last year or something like that, and here we are, and still hasn't happened. So,
but I've heard from, I don't know if you watched Errol Spence's Pillow Talk with his girl, and he's talking about he was calling and he's on the phone. He was on the phone and he wanted to get it done. So I heard that Crawford says he wants to get it done. That's interesting. Steve, let me play something. Let me play something for you. Get your thoughts on this, because you'll appreciate this. Excuse me, fans. Let me get back here. Go ahead. Sorry.
Who am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron.
is
Cam Buford.
You got some good questions today.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement.
This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
I'm not worried about him right now. I'm worried about Crawford. I'm trying to get that fight made.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy. I want to get some of this guy.
Of course, I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Once you finish them off, do you feel you get the credit and the respect you deserve there?
It really don't matter. I'm just on a mission to become the best, welterweight in the division. After I get him, I want to fight the next best guy, the next best guy, the next best guy. And then once I clear the division, I'm gonna move up.
Think about it like this: the promoter pays the fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter, and the fighter works for the promoter.
Okay.
If you can see, you can.
All right, I just wanted to play the cut with Spence and then Crawford right there. It looks like they're ready, man. I know Spence has talked about it. Crawford's talked about it. I think we're a couple years too late on this fight, actually. So I'm gonna go with the younger guy, if it actually happens on July 29th. What's your thoughts on Derek James, though, and how much can the trainer change a fighter? And I'm gonna give you an example. How much can Derek James improve Ryan Garcia?
We're gonna see. We're gonna see. I mean, I believe Eddie Reynoso helped Ryan a lot, right? We kind of saw a little more like hip movement. Guy had his hands up a little bit more. I felt wasn't kind of like pulling back the way he kind of used to prior to that. With Joe Goosen, I don't know if I really saw a whole lot of improvements in Ryan with Joe Goosen. I don't know. Maybe I just missed him. I don't know. I really didn't. I don't know. He didn't get extremely better, but in my eyes, so we'll see.
He was up against a tougher opponent when in Tank. So they say,
yeah. I'm just saying, like with what were the two dudes before that? The guy in Texas.
Not Garcia.
The guy that Garcia fought in Texas. I can't think of his name, but
Pedraza.
No. He just anyway. The two fights he was with Goosen, I don't know. I didn't
see a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, but Derek James trains completely different. He's not like he's about being in the right place at the right time to deliver the right shots. He's not like a 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of punch like guy. If you see him with like Jermel and Spence and stuff, he's like very calculated. It's like one shot at a time. It's picking the spots to make sure you're kind of
more calculated.
You're delivering the most leverage and then like being defensively responsible. It's going to be very interesting to see how Ryan looks after that, because fighters tend to revert back to what they know when they get hurt and stuff like that.
That's what I was thinking about when Tyson, and with Ryan,
but if Derek could really kind of get him slowing down a little bit, I think it's a great choice. I think it's a perfect choice for Ryan.
He's one of the better trainers in the game. So he should be.
He's got
trainer
Frank
year
Martin,
at least.
Ryan Garcia, Anthony Joshua, Earl Spence, Jermel Charlo.
Well, we got to see what Joshua was able to do if he's ever to win a fight. Period. I mean, if he just had more, he can't put the heart in the guy, and that's more so what Joshua needs. Joshua has a lot of everything else. He just doesn't have the heart. But you was at the fight in Vegas over the weekend. The big controversy. Appreciate again your footage. You got everybody was disappointed in it, but the Haney Loma fight. How did you see it? I had it 7-5 Haney. I had Haney winning that last round to kind of win the fight. How did you see it? Was it as controversial it being in the ring or in the arena as you thought?
Did you have Loma winning the 10th round?
Loma won the 10th round. I had Loma. Loma was behind. Yeah, Loma won the 10th round. I had Haney winning the final round, and that was it because I had it even. I had actually even going into that final round.
Well, what did you guys think? Did you guys watch the fight as well?
I did not watch the fight, but I heard it was quite controversial with regards to the decision ultimately.
Yeah, Freddie Roach has some choice words.
A lot of people. What did Freddie say? A lot of people had some thought about.
He thought Lomas won.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear what Freddie said. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did, man. A lot of people told me. Jorge Linares told me. He goes, "Oh man, watch your wallet, watch your watch. They're robbing people out here in Vegas."
Garcia was almost pissed coming out of there.
Yeah, man.
I saw Garcia. Garcia wasn't happy.
Yeah, Garcia too. A lot of people were upset, man. But I mean, I other people had it 7-5 Haney. Other people had it like the other way, in Media Row. So it's just what it is. It's a close fight. I think Haney's body attack was maybe it's a little harder to kind of not as eye catching, right? When Haney's head's going back to kind of notice that he's also kind of delivered body shots in the same exchange, So
I was impressed with Loma. It was a close fight. I was impressed with Loma. I expected a little bit more domination. It definitely wasn't the 16-12 that one of the refs had it. It wasn't 16-12s. It definitely was not. But I thought Haney would beat him tactically. I thought I had to go into distance. I just thought Haney would beat him tactically. Haney proved that he's a more tactical fighter. He proved to me anyway that is a tactical fighter. So I expected that. I didn't expect Loma came on strong towards the end. He came on pretty strong. I just didn't expect him to pull it out ultimately. But yeah, Robert Garcia, like you say, Linares, Max, they all had Loma winning that fight. So I was kind of surprised by that. But the fight
had a cool, just kind of personal interaction with Loma after. I was driving back with another media member that night. We were just doing like a turnaround, and we ran into Loma in and out.
No shit, really?
In and out. Yeah, it was like just like 6 of them. Yeah, and I was like, and there's like no one in line. It was like an in and out a little away from the strip.
Okay.
And it was like we kind of looked at him, and then I was like, "Oh shit, that's Loma." And then he looked at us, and he was like, "Oh hey," and I was like, "Oh shit." So it was kind of a trip to
Did he talk to you guys?
Share that moment, you know what I mean, with the fighter at that point. It was just that was a really cool moment to be able to kind of talk to him after, really kind of just have because us in media, after a fight, after a game, whatever, it's always kind of like we're grabbing the mic, we're saying something, we're trying to get something out of them, and you don't have that human experience, you know what I mean? So getting to really kind of look in his eyes, shake his hand. You know, like it was pretty neat. It was a pretty cool.
So the camera, camera was down. Cameras
Yeah,
down.
I'm not. You know, I'm trying to read the room a little bit. I was like,
yeah.
it's going to be okay with something like that.
You always
good man.
You always
sometimes you gotta take the camera off, man. You do.
You get more content. You get
kind of be
you
in
get
the
better
moment, you know?
content. You get better content without the camera. You definitely do.
Right.
But then when you're in the business, you kind of want that camera to catch those moments. But I know for sure my interactions with not only boxers but just athletes in general, you get more better content without the camera. Like if you just walk up to somebody's
you gotta, man. It's just the man just lost a dream that he's been waiting for, right? His biggest professional dream that there was, and he's pretty sure that's the last time it's going to happen, right? So it was just kind of, you know, the energy of it was just like, yeah, let me just kind of, you know, be with this man in this moment and just kind of like just.
Do you agree?
In my respect.
Do you agree that I understand what he was saying when Haney was pissed that he didn't see him fight him 4 years ago when Haney didn't have a belt, and then Loma honestly said, well, at that time, you know, I'm trying to get belts. He didn't have a belt, so we didn't fight. I can't really be mad at that logic, but do you agree that Haney had reason to be upset? Do you see that same thing?
I mean, of course he in his mind he's going to be upset because he had to wait 4 years longer than he would have liked to. But that's just kind of like young man vigor, right? Like you just kind of like 20 years old, you want to like get after it. You want to. It was smarter for him to wait. I mean, 4 years ago, he hadn't fought Linares. He hadn't fought JoJo. Maybe it was
4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, well, he might have lost this one, but like, you know, I mean, it would have been like worse, right? Or like he's obviously more prepared now than he was. Like he would have been back then.
Sure. Were you at your seat for the Nakatani versus Maloney?
I wasn't. I was. Yeah, I left and I was like having a Uber issue because EDC let out, so it was like Ubers were like hella hard to get. But yeah, I heard about it after I got there right as that ended and found out about it later. And I got there for like the Mutaya and I don't remember who his knockout, and then Valdez and Lopez.
And
that was a good fight.
Nakatani he punished Maloney, but he hung in there. He was punished him from round 1 to the end, and until you finished him in the 10th or 11th. But Maloney. Maloney hung in there. He hung in there for a minute until just that last final knockout. What do you think, Josh Taylor, Teofimo? Who you got on that fight?
It's a really good fight. I think, man, Josh Taylor's. I think he's great. Solid. He's really good, bro. He's really, really good. I mean, you don't beat, Ramirez. You don't beat Regis Prograde if you're just nobody. You know what I mean? Regis Prograde is. I thought was the guy, you know, and I still think is the guy. But man, Taylor even kind of fought, you know, kind of dogged it out with him too. He wasn't just kind of boxing and staying on the outside. It
was a slugfest.
You know, I think you kind of have to lean towards him, especially after. I didn't watch Teofimo's last fight. I heard about it. Sandro Martin is a great fighter. I think a very underrated fighter. I'll say. But regardless of that, with Teofimo saying afterwards, you know, do I still got it kind of to his team?
Right.
You know, not paying attention to the cameras were around. That's like you know, that's a problem with like up here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you don't kind of like answer those questions in the ring with somebody like another dog. You know what I mean? Like another guy trying to take your head off. So it's
not only that,
deal, but we'll see.
Not only that, I think he's a bunch of hot air. He shouldn't have never lost to Kambosos.
You know,
he shouldn't have lost. He wasn't ready for the fight. You the champ. You talk so much shit. Not only you the champ, it's okay to lose, but you can't talk so much shit about everybody going into the fight. Like it wasn't only about the boxer. He talked shit about everybody in boxing. Like he was a shit, and Kambosos put it to at the moment he shouldn't have lost to Kambosos. I think Kambosos proved that you can come back because he was in a desperate situation after he lost. He just lost that. Kambosos, if I remember correctly, Kambosos was on a rebound when he fought Teofimo.
I don't think so. I want to say wasn't Kambosos undefeated?
When he lost to Teofimo? Let me check it out.
No, Kambosos beat Teofimo.
Yeah, let me see.
I thought he was, or maybe not undefeated, but I know he was on like a win streak. That's why he had the shot, because he was like someone's number one contender.
What do you think about Kambosos? Who is he fighting next?
He just signed with Top Rank, so I don't know. Probably Shakur, to be honest. That's probably why they brought him over.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's another question. That's another guy that everybody seemed to be ducking. Everybody seemed to be ducking Shakur. I think Shakur is the best out there. I don't think Haney really wants Shakur. You saw that when he ran out the ring, right?
That picture was great, huh? How great was that picture?
with just staring at him. I don't think Shakur. I don't think Haney wants Shakur. That's what he's talking about moving up. And him and who would you have between Haney and Tank?
I wouldn't say Haney doesn't want Shakur. I think.
You think he wants him?
You know, they're somewhat friendly. Like, I think they're friendly. I don't know if they're friends necessarily, but I think they've been friends since they were younger. They have kind of that kinship or whatever. It's just not, the money's not there. Shakur just got to 135. This is Haney's first pay-per-view, right? Because the Kambosos fights were on regular ESPN. I mean, that's a fight that needs building up. I think, I think Haney's just a big ass dude. I don't think he's going to be at 140 for much longer at all. But he's going to hold up the division while he figures it out, because I mean, he made the weight okay. I think they're going to see what happens. That they might reach out to Tank. They might. I don't know. I don't know what I mean. It's really just Tank or go back to Top Rank for Shakur. I doubt you give Loma a rematch. You probably just kind of move forward and keep that in the rear view.
I don't think they want to give him a rematch.
So we'll see. If regardless, Haney's going to move up soon, and so now 140 is looking pretty stacked, right? With Ryan, with Haney, the Lopez Taylor winner, obviously Regis, some of the guys in Top Rank with Ramirez and Barbosa. So 140 is looking pretty solid.
Yeah, you're right. He was undefeated going into Kambosos. Kambosos was undefeated going into Lopez when he beat Lopez.
Yeah.
You're right about that. So yeah, man, we got some good fights coming up. What is your thoughts on? I saw you had a chance to chop it up with Keyshawn Davis. Yeah. He's in a tough competition as well. He's at 147, right?
No, he's at 135.
He's at. Oh yeah, so he can take over 135 if he waits a year. He can kind of rule that one, huh?
Yeah, he'll get bigger, he'll get better. He's real tight with Shakur, so I don't know.
They won't fight. Yeah, but Shakur's not.
I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, I know he called him his brother, but
But they're not gonna fight. They're not gonna fight. Shakur will be moved up to 140 by then. I don't think he's gonna stay at. You think he'll stay at 135? Because he's still. What is he? He's still growing. He's gonna be.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but so is Keyshawn though, because Keyshawn's very young, so they're gonna keep.
But he'll have the chance to grab some straps at 135. Is what I'm saying. And I think
maybe we'll see how it all shakes out. I mean, we'll see. Devin Haney's the man holding the division like in his hand. He's the king,
Could he fight at 140 or 147, Devin Haney? You think?
Yeah, for sure.
And how much power would he leave? I mean, he's not a knockout power type of guy anyway.
Yeah, but he's only 24. Who knows when he kind of starts filling in a little bit more. I mean, he might the fact that he's bringing himself down so much to 135, I mean, who knows how that affects his power really. Canelo kind of seemed to fill into his power, right? Because he started off at like 47, 54, and then kind of at 60, 68 is where he really kind of filled in and started like really kind of destroying guys, right? So he's young. We'll see. Obviously, it doesn't seem like that would happen. Obviously, the guys get bigger. He doesn't hit that hard now, so you kind of wouldn't think so. But
you think that power can grow? You think that power can grow?
Yeah.
Do you? So speaking of Canelo, do we see a Canelo in Benavidez fight? Do we see that fight, or do we see a Charlo fight? Charlo with Canelo, or do we see Charlo and Benavidez? Which more likely?
I think. I don't know, man. I don't know really, because I don't think we get Canelo Benavidez, at least not next, if ever. Sean Porter was telling me this weekend, if ever. He said we never see it. Sean Porter told me, he's like, we never see Benavidez Canelo.
Really?
That's what he said. Yeah. I really think Canelo's going to try to rematch Bivol.
Ooh.
He shouldn't. He'll probably want to do it at 175. He shouldn't do that either. Yeah. I don't
know. That was a punishment. I mean, he really want to challenge himself. I don't think that's a good look. I'd like to see Charlo Charlo 160 Jermell at 160. He's been out of action for 2 years now. Has it been 2 years or 3?
In June, it'll be 2 years.
That ring rust is, I mean,
see, that's why kind of Charlo's out of the discussion, I feel like, because it has been 2 years. That's at 160. The guys we're talking about are like 168, 175. When you've been around Jamal, and then you've been around like David and Morrell and even Caleb Plant and Canelo himself, like, Jamal's like a 160 pounder. You know what I mean? He's like a solid 160 pound fighter. Like David is like
weight. Yeah, David is growing. He don't have that extra weight.
David's like, that's a big dude. Like, Caleb's like, all right. Like you kind of see the thickness of these guys, like maybe more. And Maul looks like a 160 pound guy. He's not. He's just a little smaller.
Yeah, that's interesting. So. I mean, who do we see? You mentioned Plant. Could we see a Plant? You're saying Jamal's gonna have to move up, or you're saying Jamal's gonna have to move up.
I don't think Maul needs
160.
To do it,
who's
really.
There? Who's there at 160?
Carlos Adames is at 160. That's probably the best fight at 160. I mean, I don't know if Triple G's retired 100%. There's the other champions like Janabek at 160. Who's the other dude who's a champion at 160? I think that might be it actually.
And then so to get a piece of Benavidez, he's gonna have to go up. So Benavidez, who's left out there for him, or everybody just running from him now because they know is his mind right? He's mind right.
Well, he's become the money guy, right? Because they just had that pay-per-view with Caleb Plant. So I mean, other than Canelo in the division, who else is going to like bring money other than David Benavidez, So, but he's kind of in another issue too. I mean, like who really is, other than Canelo, he kind of beat, I mean, I don't know who else is there really, there's David Morrell, and David Morrell's really good, but he's only fought 2 rounds in the last like 2 years or something because he keeps knocking dudes out, like
knocking people out. Yeah, I think he actually called out Benavidez in the last fight, didn't he? After the last fight. But, I mean, that's reaching. He was reaching.
You have to say it, but he's not like calling for a contract or anything like that. You know what I mean? He's not like he's gonna say it while the mic's in front of his. But he's not to say he's afraid of him or anything like that. But I'm sure he'd be willing to do it. But his people kind of know better. They need to they just need to. He needs more polish. He needs more rounds. Before he's
not getting them because he's dropping cats. So, I mean that might be a lure. Good, that might be a lure to him. That might be a lure for him though. He's getting guys. Steve, once again, let the people know where they can find you, Steve.
On all platforms, mostly YouTube is where I put my interviews at KO Artist Sports, but Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, it's all at KO Artist Sports. I'm almost at 100,000 subscribers. I'm like less than 2,000 away from 100,000.
I noticed that. I noticed that. That's growth. That's growth. That's growth right there.
Appreciate it.
So talk to me about a couple guys that I particularly like, and I don't think we've seen enough of them. Is Boots Ennis? He's another dangerous fighter that people don't really want to call his name out too long.
Yeah.
Do you think now that we have Spence and Crawford scheduled for July in a potential rematch by the end of the year, does that set him back? Do we see him fight this again this year? He fought earlier this year, right?
January. I hope so. You know, it's sad to see like a great young talent like that fight at least twice a year, right? I mean, he's not even headlining pay-per-views, and it's already iffy if we get to see him twice a year. I know he's in the gym. I know he's ready. He's healthy. I hope so. I mean, it's gonna take something to get people in the ring with him. I wonder if the guy that beat Rashidi Ellis, the Venezuelan guy, or Colombian, one of those, the guy that beat Rashidi Ellis that night, the Tank fought Garcia, the first Garcia. That's a great fight for Ennis, because those are that dude, I can't remember, his Miguel something. He's Sam's guy, Sam Lukowitz. So I mean, that's a good fight for Duran. I hope to see him again. I mean, he's a great talent, you know.
Yeah, a lot of these guys don't as you mentioned, a young guy, we need to see him, we need to see more often. And unfortunately, is it promoters that keeping these guys out of the ring and not letting your guy fight? Is that why we're not seeing the fight? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know, really. You know, I'm not like involved in that too much. From what I understand, it's there's only so much money, right? And everyone's trying to get paid like the most they can, and so sometimes it's hard to put good fights together for reasons like that.
So Eddie Hearn, this was last year before he fought Bivol at that press conference. That wasn't San Diego. That was Hollywood. That was in Hollywood. The press conference in Hollywood. Eddie Hearn said, I asked, before, they had us outside. They had us outside talking to Canelo outside, and then they brought the press conference inside. That was outside Hollywood with Canelo and Bivol press conference. But I asked Eddie Hearn then. He was saying that the reason at that time, the reason the Crawford Spence fight hasn't been made because there's no money involved in it. That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, he's a European promoter. Where is he?
Matchroom.
But Matchroom. But no, what country is it from? Is it England?
Yeah, like UK, kind of Europe. Yeah.
So he was saying, coming from that aspect, that he's saying that his fighter Canelo brings a country to the fight, not like we have American fighters. We're bringing the black fighter. That's the Spencer Crawford is going to bring black fighters to the fight. Versus if Spence fights Canelo, Canelo's bringing a country, as if the whole thing was about Pacquiao. Pacquiao was bringing every Filipino that enjoys boxing is trying to get that fight.
Right.
So that makes that fight a whole lot bigger, whoever he's fighting, versus Spence Crawford, Spence is going to bring all of Texas with them. Crawford is going to bring all of Nebraska with them. Is that a big enough fight to fight when you have a Canelo, a countryman, or Pacquiao? I'm just throwing out examples. When you have a black and Mexican fighter, you can bring Mexicans, all of Mexico into the fight. Or you follow what I'm saying?
I think too much is put into that, because if we're honest, in the last month, Davis Ryan did what 1.3 million pay-per-view buys, and Canelo I heard did like 200,000. So it's not. It's really
come on, but Canelo fought a nobody though.
That's what I'm saying. So this is my point about what you're saying is that too much is put into that sometimes, because look at that. I mean, like 1.3 million watched Garcia and Tank, and only 250. I mean, so that doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? It's what matters is the quality of the fight. If you put a good fight on, boxing fans are going to pay for it.
They're going to turn out for it. If you put
garbage, we're going to like illegally stream it.
Great point on that. I'll be honest with you, because a lot of us, I mean, that's the common thread. I mean, when I go all the way back to Roberto Duran. That's how old I am, right? So I mean, that's how it was. That's how it always has been. That's the thought process of it. But then again, back then, there was a mega fight almost every single month, right? So I mean, we're living in different times right now.
Right, for sure.
So Steve, outside of this, we're crossing our fingers that this actually fight does happen, the Spence Crawford fight. What are a couple fights that you really want to see? You really looking forward to?
That same week, Stephen Fulton's fighting Naoya Inoue, the Japanese fighter.
On the 25th.
That's like on a Tuesday. It's like on a random day.
Why are they doing that?
I have no idea why they do fights, because for them it's
who is that? Who is that? Is that Matt?
It's on a different day.
Who's doing it? Is that Matchroom fight? Is that Matchroom?
That's Top Rank ESPN. Top Rank?
Interesting. On a Tuesday night?
So I don't, and it's like at 3-4 in the morning our time, so it's real kind of random. But it's a great fight. That's a really really great fight.
Right. Okay.
Those are probably the two best ones, really, because I mean, man, boxing's had a good year, and it's for the schedule so far. I mean, it's only getting better, right? If these, I mean, obviously Steven Inoue is for sure. Inoue is he wasn't undisputed. He's a 3-division champion. He's undisputed at 118, moving up to 122, facing Stephen Fulton, who has 2 belts. That's a great fight. And Inoue is like a generational talent as well. So but what's crazy, it's all that week. That's on Tuesday, and then Spence Crawford is on Saturday. So those are and then also what is it? June
10th, the Taylor and Teofimo.
Well, 10th, that one, yeah. But I'm thinking of Virgil Ortiz is fighting Stanionis. That's a great fight at welterweight. That's July 17th or something like that. So we got some good boxing coming up this summer. The summer's going to be good with boxing.
You got a house in Vegas yet?
No, but I have to start booking stuff though. Because
I know, right?
I have to look at New York, because we're getting close to New York for June 10th. So I have to look at that.
Are you going Taylor Teofimo?
Yeah. And then the game plan is to go to New Orleans for Regis the week after.
Oh, look at you!
So,
look at you!
Yeah, I'm gonna make that a little half vacation there, maybe.
Look at those students. Those students are gonna be wondering where you at. Those students are gonna be looking for you.
Yeah, I don't know if a whole lot of work's gonna happen that week. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, Steve, man, we enjoy having you on here, man. Thank you for joining us. I definitely want to get your feedback. I don't think I'm gonna make it to Taylor. That's gonna be the week of the NBA draft. I might make that in New York. I might make that, but I'm definitely shutting everything down to get to Vegas for that Crawford Spence. I'm definitely shutting it all down to get to that one. That's gonna be. I'm gonna reunite with the fellas out there, because that's gonna be the spectacle we all been looking for. But Steve, let the fans know where they can find you once again.
So I'm on KO Artist Sports on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff. Thank you, Cam. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, man. I'm glad we were able to work it out. Thank you, fellas. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been awesome. Thank you.
No, man, you're the man. You're the man. And then we go back. So I appreciate your feedback as always. Appreciate your honesty. You've been a really cool dude, man. So I can't thank you enough for being who you are, and just continue to do what you do, man. Because we're checking you out. You're gonna be over 100,000 subscribers on KO Artist Sports here pretty soon.
I just subscribed.
Hey, thank you, bro.
This afternoon, so you got 2 more.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, so keep doing it. We're gonna promote this. I'm gonna cut this up and send it to you, Steve. But I thank you for making time for us, bro. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Take care.
Have a good one.
Have a good night, bro.
Steve Cadeno, guys. All right, man. We got some boxing. In. Let's take a little quick break. We're gonna come back and we're gonna finish this conversation that we started about.
Yeah,
we're gonna finish this conversation. We're gonna finish this conversation about why you guys ducking everything. So let's take a quick break, guys. Take a couple minutes break. Clint, you can stick on as long as you like. Hold tight. I got the great Jim Brown. This is Cameron Buford.
Who am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron. Cam Buford.
We got some good questions today.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement.
This is a big, big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
I'm not worried about him right now. I'm worried about Crawford. I'm trying to get that fight made.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy. I want to get some of this guy.
Of course I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Once you finish them off, do you feel you get the credit and the respect you deserve there?
It really don't matter. I'm just on a mission to become the best, welterweight in the division. As I get him, I want to fight the next best guy, the next best guy, the next best guy. Then once I clear the division, I'm gonna move up.
Think about it like this: the promoter pays the fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter, and the fighter works
for the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
It's not like that.
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show voice of the fan,
Oh my goodness,
continues to
I'm in
evolve.
tears.
Come on, you were adding some spice to it.
It is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
The real ones know what's going on, right? Like you said, it's in our voice, so I think it's a big part of my game. And every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy for the whole
Ken. Nobody.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
You look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's Big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sports. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
Oh, Cam, your intro it's so contradictory when I watch that because I'll give you let me give you a quick heads up. I watched your reel from last year, the 2022 reel, really good. I pick up something new every time I watch it. I watch this and I see these are the three things. I'm two from football.
I already know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
So I see Terrell Davis, and I see Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
And one of the blurbs that they're both talking about, and I know you asked this question, is about being a system running back or a system player in itself. And then we just had I just told you that Curry may be a system player, and you just lost it. You absolutely lost it. And I'm sitting here like, so why can't you? I don't understand that part of it.
Let me explain the Terrell Davis piece. It was Cleveland. We've been at this. We've been doing this over 10 years. We've been doing this for a decade. It's 23. We've been doing this. I think it was 2011 when I reached out to Cleveland to be a part of the show.
Nice.
So one of the central themes of this show, Cleveland said Terrell Davis He was a product of the system, is what he said. He was a system running back. Anybody could fill in, and his argument was that Clinton Portis did the same thing. Was Mike? What's dude's name?
So Clint, here's the irony. Here's the irony of the question that he asked Terrell Davis. Okay, so my whole thing has always been, I didn't think Terrell Davis put up Hall of Fame numbers. I thought his career was too short,
and he said he was a system running back.
His burst was amazing, but it was only like 3 or 4 seasons, and for me, that's not the body of work isn't extensive enough. And so then I went further to say that it's Mike Shanahan who always thought his system was plug and play, and that you could just plug anyone into it, right?
Boom. And so I get a chance.
So then Terrell gets into it, Mike Anderson gets into it, Clinton Portis gets into it, and after Portis did it, he thought like he could just, it's just the system. It's like, no, it's the talent. But he flips the question around to Terrell Davis like, he's calling you a system running back.
Which he called him. We had this argument. We had this running argument for like 3 years, and then I finally got a chance. I finally bumped into Terrell Davis. And if you go back and watch the whole interview, I just cut a snippet of it. Terrell's eyes get bright. His eyes get big.
No, I can tell.
Red.
Yeah, I can tell. Oh yeah.
And you think it's just a system? You tell me to watch it. Yeah. I loved it. I loved it. I could.
It's fiery. I mean, I get that.
I couldn't be happy enough. So, but the Emmitt Smith deal is the Emmitt Smith. So that Emmitt Smith was, I was talking to Emmitt Smith. If you remember when Melvin Gordon was holding out. Remember Melvin Gordon was holding out for the Chargers? And so the argument there was, he's like, my situation was nothing like, it was different than Melvin Gordon's situation. Melvin Gordon was holding out. Emmitt Smith didn't have a contract. He says, he's like, if you go do your research and do your study, you will see that my situation was completely different. It was funny. I met Emmett a few times too. I got Emmett a couple different times, but nothing was more invigorating or than that particular one. And then go ahead. What else you try? I know you got something else there.
Oh, I saw Carmelo.
I knew that
saw Carmelo in that clip too, and I'm saying it is what the clip that you put in there. You did this. No one else put this in for you. The real recognizes real. That's the quote.
Yeah,
the real recognizes real.
The real ones know what's going on, and that was it just fit. It fit perfectly with the intro. It fit and then with Calipari said. So I had a pretty good conversation with Calipari. All these videos up on YouTube, fans. So you guys go take Voices fans on YouTube. They're all there. That's really where I pulled them from. So Calipari, I was talking about. I asked him, I do every year. You start over from the bottom. Every year you do this. Like, what part do you enjoy the most? Is it winning, or is it seeing your players get drafted into the NBA? Which of that do you enjoy more? And he gave me a great answer that I didn't show there. When he just says, I love all of it. But then he went in to say, and this was like almost touching. Like, he says, well, when these players coming from where they come from, and they finally get a chance to breathe and live the American dream, like that's it's all worth it. Everything we've done is all worth it. And yeah, I really that Calipari interview. It was short. That Calipari interview was probably a minute 15 seconds long, but he gave me a lot of just life. That was real. That was reality, is what Calipari said. And then
great coaches really have a way of not only seeing life and things in a different spectrum than your average person, but there's something about them that elicits either the greatest response from people as far as positive, and then other responses where people just absolutely hate them. Sometimes it's not anything in between. I mean, you can go down the list of great coaches. The only one that I can think of that didn't really have, well, I mean, he had it too, was Chapel Hill's coach. Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
You're talking about Dean Smith. But
Jordan's coach, Dean Smith, right?
Whenever I think of Calipari, I just see Tark the Shark 2.0, man.
There you go.
Like,
exactly.
It's all about basketball and making a better life for yourself. And it's just this facade of school and all these other things. You're coming to a basketball academy to go there. And he was always very real about it. And sometimes almost to his detriment, right?
Yeah, it was to his because he didn't sell it.
You act like you want them to do other things, but really you're just saying that because you have to. And now rules have changed so much that you don't even have to say that anymore.
Exactly.
You just say, come here for a year, we'll give you $1 million, and then we'll train you how to go there.
Oh, dude, just think if they had the NIL.
No. So
if they had the NIL with Tark the Shark, are you kidding me?
So they didn't need it. Yeah. So that was another question. That was another question I asked Calipari. Is I asked him about I said, how did this change the NIL deal situation? And he's like, I don't think it's going to change it very much, because he said, like, those players still want to go to quality programs. They still want to go to quality.
And they were already getting paid anyways.
They still want to go to quality teams. They still want to win. And if they go to Washington State,
depends, though.
They're
depends,
not winning.
Though. No, but here's the thing. You got Dion in Colorado right now. We don't know what they're going to do. They're bringing in a whole. They just dropped off a whole bunch of people. But they're bringing in a whole bunch of people too.
Those guys on an NIL deal. His son.
No. He said he didn't have NIL money.
Who?
Deion said that. Deion Sanders. He said, I don't have NIL money for you.
Please.
He's saving that money for certain players. I'm telling you.
Certain players.
But they're still coming anyway, though. They're still coming anywhere, though. That's what I'm saying. They're still coming.
I'm interested to see how that's going to plan out. I expect
it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
They're going to have a boom. They're going to have a boom. Is it this year or next year? They're going to have a boom. They're going to be an uptrend. But is it going to be sustainable, or is it going to go like this?
Well, what's going to happen. They just got to win. They get a bowl game the first year.
But that's what I'm saying.
Out of years of nothing.
The first year, I don't know if it's not going to happen in year one.
What you mean? They're not going to get a bowl game in the first year? They'll go above 500.
They'll win 6 games and go to the Sun Belt Bowl. You think?
Hey, man, they ain't been to no bowl in years. So I was saying anything that they go to,
they will be a spike. I don't whether the spike happens this season or next season. There will be a spike.
But are we expecting a Cameron spike? We know what Cameron spike is. It's like you got to win every year, or you just getting fired. I mean, that's it.
What I'm telling you. This is what I'm telling you. Dion's not staying at Colorado for 20 years.
No.
Let's not get it. Let's not get.
I give him 4 or 5 years tops.
Is he going to be consistent? Is he going to be winning 4 or 5 years, or is he going to have that spike in that second year, and then bring players in there? What's going to be interesting, Clint? And don't forget, he's in the Big Ten.
I know, that's what I'm saying. No, Pac-12. I was looking at their schedule. It's not easy.
They're playing Penn State. They're still playing UCLA. They're still playing USC.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still playing legitimate schools now.
Exactly.
Yep. They haven't won, so him coming in there's going to be a spike from just him bringing his presence and bring people want to be a part of the team. Now, let's not get it twisted, but they're still playing. They're still quality schools that he's up against. So,
oh yeah, no doubt. I looked at that schedule like probably a couple times in the last month or so, and I'm like, boy, that's gonna be tough. And the only thing we have to go off of is his son's blog, both of his son's blogs, right? The quarterback and then the videographer. That's all we have right now, right? So I'm looking at some of their players, and then I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at their players versus what I see from the SEC. and even the Big Ten and all that. I'm like, these guys are small. They're fast, but they're small. That's a small ass team. Colorado has a very small team on the offense and defensive end, and I'm like, I don't know. It's gonna be weird, man. It's gonna be weird.
So let's jump.
I don't know what to expect.
So let's jump into this fan favorite segment real quick, and before we get back to the NBA, excuse me. This week in history, fans. May 23, 1900, Sergeant William H. Carney awarded the for his bravery in the Battle of Fort Wagner Morris Island, became the first black soldier to receive the coveted award. This is 1900. May 22nd, 1959, Benjamin O. Davis became the first African American general in the U.S. Air Force. 1966 on May 22nd, Bill Cosby, whether you guys watch Bill Cosby show still or not, became the first African American to receive an Emmy for Best Actor in a Drama Series for his role in the television series I Spy. That was 1966. 1854, May 24th, Anthony Burns, a celebrated fugitive slave is arrested in the United States by United States deputy marshals in Boston. 1,000 people in Boston lined the street to witness Burns walk in shackles as he returned back to the South. And crazy. And this is 1854. It was a perp walk back then. May 25th, 1975, Al Attles, Clinton, you can clarify this for me. Al Attles coaches team, the Golden State Warriors, to a victory in the NBA Finals against the Washington Bullets. It said it was the first black coach to win a championship, but that has to be Bill. Bill Russell won a championship.
Player coach. He
was a player coach. That's the distinction with that.
Distinction there. That's what
the Washington Bullets team was actually really good too for a long time. So
yeah, for a few years. So that's what
that's the Rick Barry team.
Elvin Hayes, Elvin Hayes, and all those guys. Yeah.
1943, May 26th, President Edwin Barclay of Libya arrives in the White House, becoming the first African president to make official visit to an American president. In 1943,
and one of the last.
May 22nd, 2003, high school basketball player phenom LeBron James signs a $90 million endorsement deal with Nike. $90 million lifetime deal. Whew. May 22nd, same day. Tennessee's Titans quarterback Steve McNair was arrested and charged with drunken driving, illegal possession of a handgun, and was released on a $3,000 bail. That was May 22nd, 2003. Clint, and that leads me to I haven't got your feedback on another player in the state of Tennessee. What's your thoughts on John Morant and his whole issues and everything?
So
back up before you answer, Clint.
Sure.
Do you think NFL, NBA players need mentors or veterans on their team? Do you think that's a necessity?
100%.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now
100%.
continue. Thank you. Cleveland doesn't think these guys need mentors or veterans.
It's you know what? It's not just the coaches, because a lot of people think it's the coaches that are the ones that are going to be there to mentor them. The coaches aren't there when they go to dinner every night. They're not there at the barbecues. They're not there at their kids' functions all the time. I mean, they have team functions and things like that. But it's the guys like the I'd say Udonis Haslam's, even the Dudleys, where people think that he doesn't, why is he on the roster? Well, he's taking up a roster spot.
The Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, the Tristan Thompson, those guys. I mean, there was a guy for the Seattle Sonics years ago, and Cam, I think you guys both may know that. He was the 12th man on the Sonics bench for years. Like, I want to say about 7 or 8 years. Steve Scheffler, he was one of the players' favorite players. He would, everybody loved him. Like Steve Scheffler is about 6'10" or something like that. Big guy, semi-athletic, fringe NBA player as far as at the bottom of the ring. I mean,
Big 10 player of the year.
There
coming
you
out of
go.
college.
Exactly. He knows. Everybody loved him. He barely ever played. But all the players in the locker room said that this dude, he was one of the best people on the planet. They've never met anything like, And as far as we had D'Antonio Winfield come through Seattle, and all these Mad Max came through Seattle for a hot second. Like different dudes that even from young to old, there's always has to be that mentor in the locker room. If you want a successful team, you have to have it. If you don't have it, your locker room can fly out of control. Here, I'll give you another example, not just Memphis. So the Pacers, Indiana Pacers. What year was that? Malice in the Palace.
The Malice 94 was it?
No. It was 2000 something. Was it 2006 or 7?
It's 5.
5. There you go. That was the year that they were supposed to go to the finals.
Yeah.
They were supposed to go to the finals that year, right? They had a squad. They were absolutely killing Pistons. Now, if you look at that squad up and down, you would think there are veterans there. But think about this though: Jamal Tinsley, Jax. You have Reggie Miller.
2004, November 20, 2004.
2004. So that was 2004, 2005 season. You have all these guys. There's a mix of guys in here, but you know who started that whole Malice in the Palace?
Ron
Artest. Exactly.
Ben Wallace, Anthony Johnson. These are all the guys.
Well, that was in the fight. But think about this: the people that started that fight. There was two main people that started that fight outside the dude that threw the cup.
Yeah, Ron
it was Ron Artest, of course. He was the catalyst of it. But guess who got Ron Artest going?
Jackson?
Jamal Tinsley.
Oh,
Jamal Tinsley was the guy, and we all know this. Like if Jermaine O'Neal had heard what Jamal Tinsley said, he probably would have socked him in the mouth or slapped him or something like that. Out of all the guys on your team that are a powder keg to go off at any single time, because Artest, he got hit early in the game or something like that. And Tinsley was like, what, less than 2 minutes left in the game. He's like, hey, Ron, you can get him now. And Ron was like, all right. And next thing you know, Ben's going to the rack for a dunk. Artest comes and clubs him on the back of the head. And then here's the other part of it. A lot of people didn't know that Ben had a death in his family. So now, instead of having, like, if Jermaine O'Neal was there, because he was actually one of the guys that you would need as a mentor to stop that from happening, and telling Jamal Tinsley, what the hell are you doing? We're about to win this game. Leave that stuff alone. Now you got a powder keg that jumped off to the point where now your mentor in Jermaine O'Neal is a ride or die guy, just like Jax is. Jax doesn't ask any questions. Jermaine's usually he's the guy that's like, okay, let's settle down a little bit. But if the crap hits the fan, guess what? Jermaine's in it. So you need guys from top to bottom to hold down the young people and some of the volatile guys too. You've got to have those mentors in your locker room. You're not going to come close to getting the championship. You're just not.
Did that sway your opinion, Mr. Cleveland?
I believe that what you're saying is wholeheartedly 100% true in a different era. I think that player that you're talking about are few and far between in this era because the players start out so much younger and they have so much more success and influence so much faster that it's harder to find those people that they will listen to and gravitate towards. Because now when you're talking about veteran leadership, you're talking about someone that's 28 years old. It's
odd that Patrick Beverly has been considered
what he's talking about as far as a leader and a mentor. It's very hard to find because players are not they start so much.
Not that old.
What are you saying, Cam?
It's not.
You can't. Okay, stop with the Patrick Beverly. Okay, that's Patrick Beverly. He's a cool cat.
What are you looking for? Udonis Haslem was like 40 years old. You don't have 40-year-old players no more. You don't have 34-year-old
that's the
players
problem.
anymore.
That's the
because
problem.
they start so soon. So who's going to mentor you?
They're paying these guys for potential, and they're filling up the roster spot with these 21 to 26 years old. But there needs to be that veteran in the locker room, that veteran on the plane, that at least Cleveland that said 32, 35 years old. My goodness. Again, Patrick Beverly for what he did.
35, you're 17 years into the league, man. It's not the same.
What about Jimmy Butler? Jimmy Butler's not that old, but he's one of those guys.
He can be considered one of those guys.
He like Cleve said, that's kind of he's few and far between though.
Yeah,
he totally is.
That's because the league isn't paying that guy, and that's to their detriment. They're not paying.
What do you mean that? What do you think they have the veteran minimums for? That's exactly what those are for, is to bring those guys in. It's exactly what it's for.
But they're not. They're giving that Memphis as an example. Their their veteran who's been out was Steven Adams, he's been injured, so he hasn't been like traveling with the team. Right. But that's their veteran. Like that's the only he's been out. He wasn't there. The team, I believe the teams need that guy. As Barkley said the other night, they need every team needs to have a guy over 35 years old.
Barkley was raised by Moses Malone and Dr. J.
Exactly. With Bobby Jones.
That's not those guys don't exist.
That's
anymore,
a different era. That's totally different era. That whole team was vets. They all knew how to handle themselves.
That is the problem with the teams today. That's the point I'm making. The whole point I'm making.
But that's what you want though, kid. That's what you want though, Cam, right? I mean, I go back to the Carmelo Anthony thing. This guy's been a staple from his rookie year almost all the way up until the last couple years. Even with the Lakers, you guys were even with the Lakers, you were killing us about, why is it Why don't you guys put Carmelo Anthony in and get 17 points a game and all that stuff?
Carmelo Anthony laughed when they said, Carmelo, are you going to be coming off the bench? Because we know you can't do it like you once did. He laughed.
I know.
I'm going to be coming off the bench. Nigga, you need to be coming off the bench.
No, I get it.
He's not the guy that's not the example to give me about a leader.
So you're just going to admit that you were trolling us a couple years ago when you were talking about, why isn't Carmelo Anthony giving y'all something? You guys brought him in to score. How come he ain't in the game scoring? That's you just trolling us.
He wasn't. No, he wasn't.
And he evolved into your leader at like 33, 34
he was never
years
a leader.
old.
He was never a leader. That's my point.
16th year in the league.
Carmelo,
he was a mentor. He's not a leader in the sense that that you're thinking, Cam. But he was. Players looked up to him. The young guys looked up to him.
And that's what I started to show off, asking what was the allure. But you had Patrick Beverly when he went to Minnesota. He was considered a leader, a mentor of that team, trying to get these young guys.
Hold on, wait a minute. What team did you say? Minnesota.
With the Minnesota, didn't Minnesota go to the playoffs this year?
Oh my God, the franchise as a whole, Cam.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
The last mentor they had was Kevin Garnett.
I'm just using that as
they had one. They had one in between that. A cat named Jimmy Butler, and they didn't like that.
There was some friction. It wasn't even with all the players either. It was with the coaching staff didn't like how Jimmy was talking to them because Jimmy thought they weren't putting in the right players next to him so that they had the best chance to win. And part of that was, Cam's gonna love this, was that the game winner that LeBron hit on them. In there, that was one part of what culminated in they didn't have the right people in to actually prevent that play from happening. That's what Jimmy's post conference and his interviews were saying. He was like basically hinting that the coaching staff was not putting in the right players to win games. So they didn't like that.
It's not that I disagree that they don't need that. I disagree that that doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist like it used to.
Very
for sure.
hard to find it, and then the player has to be receptive to it, and the power dynamic is so disproportionate that they probably won't listen.
Hey, can we do something real quick while we're here? Why don't we, like the playoff teams, the teams that made the playoffs? Let's name at least one player off of each team that's a mentor. That'll be a good exercise, and just getting an idea of what percentage of mentors are on these teams.
I mean, the percentage is low. I'll go ahead and admit that right off the top. But your Lakers had Tristan Thompson. They didn't bring him in for the 7 points that he scored last night, right?
We didn't need Tristan for that. I mean, we got LeBron's there. I mean, I know there's LeBron fatigue. I get it, but TT's not going to say anything different.
Why was he on the team? Why you think that he brought on for the cheerleaders?
Honestly, no. Honestly, it's the only makeup that we had that would have been a backup for Anthony Davis. That last first round draft pick was supposed to go to another quality center, and they didn't want to give it up because they didn't think we needed it. That was a mistake because, of course, Mo Bamba, even if he was healthy, there's no way he was going to back up AD on a semi-regular basis like we needed. We needed a McGee. We needed a Dwight Howard from 2020 to back him up this year, and they didn't go get him.
So the Boston Celtics, off the top of my head, I'm trying to pull up
I'm just glad they didn't get swept.
Well, if you talk about Boston, you pull up Al Horford. That's one of the teams that has a mentor.
There you go.
Someone that's been through the fires. Okay, that works.
But the problem though with Al Horford is that he's a troll too, and you can't be like a consistent, effective leader when you're a troll. Al Horford is a troll. He's not a front runner. There's a difference. A troll and a front runner are totally different. You can still be successful as a troll. Because Jimmy Butler's a troll, and he's very successful. When you're a front runner, like Booker, you're a front runner, you know it. Don't even try to deny that. You know that dude is always in your face when he's up by 10 or 15. Just like Jordan said. Remember when he had that bat? He had that bat in that little video when he was in the playoffs. It's like everybody's tough when they're up.
Right.
It's when you down or when it's even, that when you start talking, that's when the game is made.
Horford, I mean, Boston did Horford wrong when they let him go, and he ended up in Philly, and then he came back. Like this is his second run there.
What do you mean? How'd they do him wrong?
By what, they didn't resign him? How did he end up in Philly? They didn't resign him
for more money, but that is the other thing that you have to realize about this mentoring thing is that the players have to be receptive to it, and if they're not, then it doesn't work.
Well,
they just want to do their own thing.
I mean, Cleveland, yes. If I go to work and don't do a good job, they're going to let me go. Yes.
No, that's not. No, you could
not
still
necessarily
do your job really well as a mentor, and people just don't want to listen to you. That's what happened in Philadelphia.
People don't like you. They just don't like you. You can be the best at your job. You can be the best at your job if your team doesn't like you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make a move.
You guys really don't like Chris Paul that much. I don't know if you've heard.
Well, I mean, what happened to Kyrie in Boston? He tried to come over and take over the kids. The kids were like, all right, we'll listen to you. And then he started saying some nonsensical things that they couldn't get with, especially on the defensive end when he didn't play a whole lot of defense. And they were like, okay, I'm not listening to this dude anymore. I can't.
Kyrie and leadership don't go in the same conversation.
Dude, don't even get me started on that. You remember that old picture of LeBron looking down the bench at Kyrie after he messed up something and didn't want to listen to. That was in the 2017 season, by the way. So. Yeah, we know what happened after that.
Wanted for Kyrie to come back. So the Heat, we know the Heat have Udonis Haslem. We know the Heat has Udonis. What about the Knicks? Do the Knicks? I don't think the Knicks have a guy.
Well, Brunson, young Brunson. He's the
closest thing.
Exactly, because it damn sure ain't Randall. I'll tell you that.
I mean, he would be that guy, but
my God!
I mean, otherwise, in your scenario, it would be Derrick Rose, right?
And
how old is Derrick Rose?
Shit, Derrick Rose might be 40, isn't he?
No, not even close. His knees are 40, but no, he's not even close to 40. No, he's relatively a young guy.
34, 33, 34.
Right? Yeah, I mean he's not 40, but still he doesn't play. That's the one thing. And on top of that, he's more of a voice of reason than anything else. You know his MO. His MO was that he didn't like to recruit players. He didn't talk a whole lot. Now he's grateful for being in the league, but
he's not
now
vocal. He's not a vocal guy.
But he led by example.
Kawhi Leonard type superstar. Like, I'm
Right,
just gonna
but he
go out here
doesn't
and
play
ball out.
anymore though. That's
I
the
don't really
problem.
want to do the rest of the stuff.
Right.
Well, Udonis doesn't play any, so we can't lean in on just playing. I mean, but you got
Udonis played for a whole hell of a long time before he stopped playing. That's the whole thing.
He ain't really played in 3 years. I mean, let's be honest. He been getting.
I mean, has Derrick Rose?
Huh?
Has Derrick Rose?
No, I'm saying, but Udonis, I believe Udonis' voice is louder. I mean,
Yeah, because he has championships. That's why.
Yeah. So, do the Bucks
and you got the backing.
The Bucks have the Lopez, and who else other than Lopez?
He's not what you would call a true.
I mean,
he's an older guy.
But still, though Lopez he's a powder keg too, though, right?
It could be. Oh, come on, he been in that one fight, that one incident. But again, players respect players. I think players respect Lopez.
Yeah, because they don't want to get punched by him.
The Cavaliers, do they? I'm not sure they have one.
No.
Do they? I can't think off the top of my head. I can't.
Well, they got rid of Love, so they lost him. I mean, it's weird because the only person that you're thinking that it would be Donovan.
Donovan. I mean, I don't think he's a leader, but
he's one of the oldest guys they have. That's the whole thing, right?
But
And he's a star.
I would still say that Donovan's still. I wouldn't say he was a veteran even. He is. He's been at least.
What is he like? 8 years?
10 years
7, 8 years? Is he 10?
They're very
He's
close
10 already.
to it.
Oh my god!
Embiid is 10 years into this, man.
Yeah, exactly. So trust the process. I remember that.
Yeah. You look up, these cats are older.
Donovan is 26. Donovan's 26.
Okay, so he's 8 years.
But he's been in since he's 8 years in. So
it's probably 7 years. Probably 7 years. No, I want to say Donovan is 2017 or 18. It was 24.
No, not even, man. Come on.
No.
Yeah, I think so.
He's way older than that. He was in Utah for like 5 or 6.
No, let me see.
Yeah, check it out. Now, with that said, though, so we go through Philly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. No, excuse me. I think that. Let me talk about.
Yeah, you're thinking playoffs.
He's 6 years. He's 6 years in. This is 7th year for Donovan.
Yeah, 7th year. Okay, so 7th year. You're thinking like I'm thinking like
just looking at at these going down the list, the 76ers. If you said Embiid is 10 years in, is there anybody?
Shouldn't Harden be your mentor by this point?
He should. Yes.
Good point.
But he
he's
should.
not, right?
But yeah.
So you're thinking these teams
he's
like
supposed to be a killer.
Oklahoma City Thunder and these New Orleans Pelicans.
No, I'm thinking specifically Memphis Grizzlies. That's what I said. That's what I said. Memphis Grizzlies. That started the whole argument. That started the whole debate.
Question.
Is the Memphis Grizzlies, a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, who has a bunch of 26 years old, need somebody to smack these guys ahead, specifically Ja. Is like, dude, this is not how we do it on the court. This is not how we do it in the locker room.
They have to be a part of that clique. Steven Adams is an enforcer. I mean, he is a mentor, but he's more of an enforcer than anything else.
But I say that's Memphis's fault, the brain trust of the GM's fault for just throwing a bunch of 25, 26, 27-year-old expecting these guys just to flourish all of a sudden. That didn't even match with their timeline of growth, because now after 3 years together, everybody's going to be looking for their own contract and that team's going to split up. So that wasn't a good decision. So that's what I'm talking about.
But I also remember when Kobe had like Swaggy P and them guys, man, and they all wilted under his pressure. They really, really did.
Don't even get me started on that.
They weren't that talented to begin with.
Oh, I can't tell. I can't tell. That's what that's what I've been told by the Clipper faithful and all these other guys. The Warriors are telling me that, oh well, Swaggy P won a champ. He's a champion now, so I mean he must have been some kind of good. I always thought Kobe should have passed the ball a little bit more and trusted his teammates. We could have won about maybe 1 or 2 more titles. I'll never. Nobody will ever convince me of that.
You would have beat Boston. You would have beat Boston in 08. You would have
in 08.
Yeah, or 07.
No. The 08 was Boston's year for sure. I think
09. When were you going to win?
2011, they could have got there if they would have shared the ball against Dallas.
Against who?
Against Dallas, they could have got there in 2012.
Dallas swept them. What are you talking about? Did Dallas sweep? Did that Dallas sweep them?
I'm saying, but that's the thing. Go back and watch the games and see what Kobe's pass percentage to shooting percentage was. Just go back. Even when they doubled him.
Who did you want? Clint. I was going to those games. I was paying big money to
root against him. Exactly. So you know exactly what I'm talking.
So yeah, I want you to tell me who were they going to be? Who is he passing to? Excuse me. Smush Parker? Who was he passing to?
In 2012?
In 11. No, in 2012, OKC, that's when OKC came to life. OKC beat them 4-1. OKC beat them 4-1. So that's when they came to life, 2012. So you tell me who were they going to beat? They couldn't. James Harden was I told Cleveland last week, James Harden need to go back to the bench because when he was coming off the bench, he was killing cats. He was killing cats coming off the bench.
You trying to give people the Carmelo Anthony treatment? Is that what you trying to do?
I mean, no, I'm just saying that's how we're going to get the best out of him. But you tell me, you brought up if he passed the ball a little bit more in 11, come on, they got swept by Dallas. So they might have won one game, another game or two. Come on.
Well, let's go through the narrative of this too. So Dallas in itself, they were on a ridiculous run. They actually had their first round. They almost didn't make it out of the first round. I think it was the Spurs. I think they played the Spurs and they beat the Spurs, I think, if I can remember right. Then they went on this ridiculous run where they had good defense. They had a good chemistry on offense. They kept the scores low so that they could dominate in the half court. They did a really good job. The issue with that is that we had Gasol and Bynum. Now, why would you not force feed? Because Bynum and Gasol are going against Dirk and Chandler.
Bynum only gave you guys a couple of years.
It doesn't matter. He was there in that.
After he got hurt,
he wasn't hurt in that series though. Why not give him the ball and let him go to work and see if he can get Chandler in foul trouble? Dirk couldn't guard him.
I don't know if that's right. Bynum was there for your championship in 2009, 2010. I think he got hurt, and after he got hurt, he was done.
2011, he was the one that gave Barrera the forearm shiver to the ribs. He was the one. They were playing him. He was playing. So why not feed him? Exactly. So they had Twin Towers. Yeah, that was his last. That was his last. Going forward. But they still in that
series. They got swept. They weren't close. They weren't. They weren't.
Really that's what I'm saying, though. If you trust your teammates more and give them a chance to dominate. Give them a chance to succeed. You got Gasol, future Hall of Famer. And then you got a bunch of players on the ancillaries. Odom. I know a couple of those cats didn't play as much as they should. Fisher.
That team won in 2009, though. Clint.
Yeah,
that team
I know. In 2010 too. 2010.
Yeah. Powell was old. I would say. By basketball standards,
he was still old. Serviceable, right? Shaq was old with Miami. Shaq was old with Miami too. So I mean,
Shaq had a chip on the shoulder though. When he went to Miami, Shaq had a chip on the shoulder.
All right, so we're going to the killer instinct thing again.
That's what it was. Then he went and got in shape, and then obviously he had Dwayne Wade, but that was sick. So he had a chip on his shoulder at that time. He wanted to win just so he can say,
Kobe. So he had more than Kobe. Yeah, I know.
What my Aztecs like.
I was there. I was there laughing with Shaq at that time. Shaq was my guy. I thought Kobe ran him out of town. I was mistaken. Shaq was a bridge burner, but that's a long story in itself.
Yeah, no, I mean, in LA, you had to make a decision. Are you a Shaq or Kobe guy?
Right. Exactly.
I was a Kobe guy until he started that wine in 2007. When he started that wine, when he started crying in 2007, and he's talking about, I need some more help.
So
Like,
why
dude,
do you get on me when I talk about the 2008 why do you get on me when I mentioned 2008 when he was talking about wanting to get traded and he goes on of all people's shows, Stephen A. show.
That was summer 2007. That was
Right.
summer 2007.
Was
He
this?
went on
Oh yeah,
every-
2007.
he went on
Yeah.
anybody who would talk to him, he's telling them, I want out of LA.
Dude,
I'll go to the Clippers. I will
he
go to
went-
the Clippers if I have to. And
that's when I started. That's when I started going against him more or less. I mean, I was already pissed off that he quit. He actually quit in Game 7 in Phoenix. Nobody ever talks about that.
Do you remember
Nobody
that?
ever talks about that. That was so ridiculous. I could not believe he did
was
that.
just running the offense.
Oh,
and
dude,
just
I could
passing
not
the ball,
believe that.
and we're
Nobody.
talking about,
Nobody ever
else
talks
would
about that.
remember that.
I thought that was in Detroit.
so
Against
crazy.
Detroit.
Dude, it was so bad. It was so bad.
Detroit. I thought that was
No.
That was
Detroit,
super
he was
embarrassing.
balling. Detroit, he was balling. He was trying to ball his ass off. I'll give him credit for that. But 2007, that's when he quit. When he didn't shoot. When he took like 1 or 2 shots in the entire second half, and he kept passing because somebody in the locker room was telling him, "Hey, you need to trust your team." That's the only thing I can think of because when he came out, he took 1 or 2 shots that entire half in a Game 7, and nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about that.
I think it was a non-issue, though. I think it was a non-issue.
God! It's a Game 7. What do you mean it's a non-issue?
When I say a non-issue, though, it wasn't like in 2004 when they claimed he quit against the Pistons.
He never quit against the Pistons.
I didn't. No, it wasn't him. I thought they said Shaq quit. But I don't know. Not him. No, he didn't quit against the Pistons.
Ball in 04, but that 06, 07,
Oh my God, man!
It was embarrassing.
There was nobody on the squad. That's when he was running with Smush Parker,
and they were in a Game 7
against the Suns.
And
he got all
dude, they were up
saying
against Phoenix in 3-1 in one of those too.
So that is exactly what he did. Man.
Exactly. They were up 3-1 against Phoenix in one of those series. I'm looking it up right now. Hold on. I'm looking it up right now.
That scenario. But let's go back.
Looking it up right now.
Let us know what you got.
Now, Memphis with Ja. Hold on, wait. Let's go through. Because that was your original question. Let me answer the question.
I was going what you call it? I thought.
Were you going through the list? Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Looking for the Kobe year.
Yeah.
So the Atlanta Hawks. Do they have a veteran? I mean, John, number 20, Collins.
No,
he ain't a vet. They don't have an old school vet.
Their veteran was their coach. Their veteran was Nate McMillan.
True enough, and yeah. Trae Young, interestingly enough, was at the game last night too. He's looking to get
good old Trae. Yeah. We can't use Trae in LA. Not with the LA because he doesn't play any defense. His offense would be great.
Good as Kyrie. Denver Nuggets. Do Denver Nuggets have a vet? Do they need a vet?
No, they got a vet.
They got an old boy. They got number 32. Why can't I think of his name?
Jeff Green. Yeah, good old Uncle Green, Uncle Jeff.
Yeah. Okay. Phoenix Suns. They don't. Chris Paul.
Yeah, Chris Paul
would be that guy. Again, Timberwolves. We talked about it. They had Patrick Beverly. I mean, that's the only one I can think of. Who else could you guys think of?
They got nothing.
He finished the season with Chicago.
That's right. You're absolutely right. Take that back. But they don't have nobody. They needed that. They needed something. They needed them guys.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to put a fire under Karl Anthony Towns' ass. They need some. But again, they had Jimmy Butler. They didn't like that.
With a very light touch though, Cam, because we saw what Jimmy did to him, right?
But that's part of the problem. That's part of if you're catering to these guys in the playoffs, we need you to step up.
It becomes, hey, I either keep the really soft talent or I keep the really hardcore dude.
Yeah, I'll sing Cat. That's where the Clippers. They have Nick Batum. Nick Batum cast only.
Dude, they're supposed to. Nick Batum, Paul George, Kawhi. Those guys are all seasoned veterans. They're supposed to be the mentor.
That's one of the themes of the show of this conversation as well. Kawhi is not a leader. Period. In the story, his fault. The Kings. Did the Kings have one? Who did Kings? Do they have a veteran? I'm trying to think off the top.
Harrison Barnes.
Barnes. Yeah, dude that they traded during Dallas traded right before a game, the tip off of a game, and he had to sit there on the bench the whole game. That's how you treat. That's why that loyalty in sports. I can't do it. I can't fall for that, man. That's such a.
The last two is the Grizzlies and the Lakers. We talked about the Lakers with the Lakers.
Well, Lakers are easy, but the Grizzlies. I mean, it would have to be.
I don't think Adams really counts. But that he would be that guy. But I don't think they need a vocal leader.
He's the closest you got. It can't be Bane. It's not Bane. He's too young.
Yeah.
JJJ's too young.
Yeah, exactly.
To your point.
To your point, to you guys' point, though, they need somebody who actually plays and the players respect to have some respect for.
You can get guys like that, though. They're out there. You just gotta be willing to bring them in. I mean, it's a process, though. It's not easy. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not easy.
And I was just saying that I think the players need that. It'll help your team chemistry. Like, I just don't think in using Memphis again as an example, to just have a bunch of 20-something-year-olds and expect these guys to actually produce and stay on a straight and narrow, 20-something-year-old millionaires, that's a tough task. That's a high ask. That's
a problem with the young guys too, is that you can bring a veteran in. If that veteran doesn't produce or bring something to the team, young guys are going to tune those guys out quick.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to sign these guys for no reason, and it's going to kind of get you.
By the way, you were talking about Minnesota, and isn't that part of the reason they brought Gobert in also? And
not really, because
it was to take a little bit of pressure off Cat. But again, we're talking about a 10-year vet.
No,
it was the same reason that they wanted to get AD to not play center. They want Cat playing center because it was taking too much of his energy and he was getting hurt a lot.
Right. So before we get off of this topic and we move on, we got to give. What do you think about somebody who picks against their own squad in the playoff prediction? What do you think about that, Clint? I mean, this is kind of curious. You know, Cleavon's a fair weather or bandwagon Laker fan, but he had Denver Nuggets going to the NBA Finals in December. What do you think about that?
It's definitely a good pick. In December, it was a great pick. I mean,
I gave him a chance once the Lakers got hot and made it to the playoffs. Once the Lakers got hot before the series started, I said, Cleavon, now it's the Lakers and the Nuggets. Do you want to change your pick? You know what he told me? He says no. He had no faith in the squad getting to the NBA Finals. What do you think about that?
You know what that's called? That's called using your head over your heart.
Oh boy!
And I'll give you a couple of good examples of how that almost got me. And I had my one of my brothers out of California when I did my family reunion. We were with the finals, the NBA Finals between the Lakers and the Pistons, and I was telling him, yeah, you know what? I think Magic and Worthy, they're gonna pull it out this time. You know, I know Kareem's old, but I think we're gonna pull it out again this time. And my brother, he's like, Crenshaw. He's from Crenshaw, born and raised. He told me, he's like, don't put any money on that. I was like, what? What are you talking about? You love the Lakers. And I was like, it has nothing to do with that. Detroit's a better team. They're just a better team, right? I mean, they're both of those teams were, semi-old at that point. I mean, Detroit was a little bit younger, but he knew, he watched those boys play, especially against Chicago, against the GOAT, right? And they neutralized him.
Don't quote unquote. The GOAT.
Oh, you want me to put the quotes up? I can't put the quotes up.
Everybody know who it is. You know what I mean?
Those Jordanites get so sensitive, I swear.
But I'm just saying that was one of the things. He's like, don't pick games with your heart. Lakers may be your team, but the Detroit Pistons, they're a better team. And lo and behold, what happened? Like it wasn't even close. You know what I mean? So, I mean that's what it is. Cleveland did a good thing. When you're a good evaluation of talent, and you have these trolls and the haters, they'll play on your the teams and players that you support, and they try to use these really impossible scenarios for your team and players to achieve. Right? I picked the Lakers in 6. Right? And I just felt I was going with my heart with that, and I knew our team was kind of shaky when it came to certain pieces, and I was anticipating that they would rise to the level of what we saw them in the last 2 rounds.
They got swept.
Denver is a ridiculously solid team, well coached team. They didn't make a whole lot of coaching errors or mistakes, and their players. They made plays when they had to make them. And not just one or two,
help me out.
All of them.
One of the things I was bashing, of course, I was rooting against the Lakers, but at the same time, I was bashing Michael Porter Jr. Clint. Tell me if the inconsistency is driving me bananas. The inconsistency of open shots. First, so I'm a fan of Michael Porter Jr. I think the Clippers should have took him at 14 and not the Jerome Robinson, who's out the league by now.
No, because he would have been sitting on the side with Kawhi if all things are relative.
What I heard is he might have been a trade block, but still they took Robinson, who's out the league by now. They could have got Shea. They could have got Shea. They got Shea at 13. They could have took Porter and put him on a bench because they were expecting that whole year. It was just funny how that whole year, from the moment. No, it wasn't. That draft is when we're like, Kawhi's coming to town. Kawhi's coming when he's done in Toronto. Kawhi's coming to town. I'm like, how the fuck are you guys talking about Kawhi coming to town? This is the draft before that year started. I'm like, come on, you guys are out of your mind.
You know why though?
But we were hearing it so much.
There's feelers with that stuff, right? Especially with Uncle Dennis.
Again, it just kind of. We were at the draft party, the Clippers draft party. Again, when they drafted Shea, they're like, Kawhi's coming to town. So it almost don't matter who they're picking because he's not going to be here very long. Like, how what are you guys talking about? Kawhi's coming to town. Kawhi just went to Toronto.
He didn't sign, though. He was traded to Toronto.
But yes. But so I was like baffled. So it was just funny how a whole year, we went through the whole year, and it's the rumors. And then the next year it actually happened. It was just like, whoa, like, wow. But they had Shea, they drafted Shea, and they could have took Porter at 14. They didn't take him at 14. Because I asked Sam Cassell specifically, Sam, Porter was there. Like, you guys could have stashed him on the bench. He was like, his medicals just didn't check out. It was too dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just too dangerous. Because if you remember, he kind of he didn't look very fluid when he walked across the stage. He was barely getting across the stage there.
Rumor has it there were some other things. There's some background things that they continue to have to monitor with him too. It's some weird stuff going on with him.
With his family or something.
It's emotional stuff too. It's like him. It's like it's in here.
So his inconsistency now. Okay, now you took a time to get healthy. I remember seeing him at Staples Center. I'm walking. I was there like I get to the stadium a couple hours before the game, and he's walking down the hallway, just him by himself. I was like, shit, that's Porter right there. I was like, yo, dude, what's up? Are you ready to play? He's like, I'm getting closer. I'm like, dude, this has kind of been a year. He's like, yeah, man, I know, but it just has to. It has to
mess
be
with
right.
him back, man. You can't mess with him back.
Right. And So sure enough, he wasn't suited up that game. But we chatted for a minute in the hallway. But just the inconsistency, man. I think, okay, health aside. By the way, he's healthy now. because he's playing, obviously.
Semi-healthy.
He passes up good shots. He's not taking those shots. It's not confident. I don't want to say it's confidence. I just say it's inconsistent. Because if he hits his first bucket, then he's kind of in a good rhythm, right? If he don't make this first couple buckets, then he stops shooting. Like, dude, you're better than that.
I'll tell you this. So if you watch, there's all kinds of shooters, right? There's all kinds of shooters in the league, and there always has been. And I don't know. We talked about this a long time ago. With shooters, there's when you're talking to shooting coaches, there's a thing called how noisy is your shot, right? And that means how many moving parts do you have from when you catch the ball to getting the ball released, right? Now, if you look at, like, let's say Curry's shot. Curry doesn't take long to get his shot off. He can get it off quick, and it's high, and it has great arc on it. Fantastic. Michael Porter Jr., he basically he jumps as high as he can on every single shot. That takes a lot of variance away from being a consistent shooter. You can be streaky, but and on top of that, he's 6'10". He jumps as high on his shot, and then he extends all the way above his head.
That sounds a lot like Westbrook.
How consistent are you going to be?
Like, he
with
gets
that?
Like as high as he can get,
Yeah,
and then he shoots it.
right. Exactly. Not even Kevin Durant does that. I mean, Kevin jumps on his shot, but not that high, not high enough to the point where it's distorting his shot. Because a shooter is supposed to be able to shoot. It's supposed to look the same every time he shoots it. Ray Allen was one of the best at that.
You saying he's having a problem with his jumper? His jumper looks
No,
good.
I'm just saying he's not going to be consistent with as noisy as his shot is. His shot's too noisy to be consistent. He's never going to be that guy that's going to be 40, 45 in any part of any given season. He's just not from the three.
You don't think this is something that he can grow into?
No, he'll hit he'll hit. I mean, go through history, right? I mean, I'm just trying to go through the people that jump really high on the shot, like Ray Allen did too. Like Jamal. Jamal's different. Noisy as far,
right?
But Jamal didn't jump that high on his jump shot. He was mostly on his tiptoes with that roundabout. Yeah, I didn't understand what that was. I tried to duplicate that when I was in middle school. I almost hurt my back. Yeah.
I mean,
no, English wasn't. No, it wasn't that. Alex English wasn't that noisy. It wasn't that noisy, and his release was more compact than some of the other, like Jamal Wilkes and Michael Porter Jr.
But when I'm seeing Porter, that's my frustration with him. Like, okay, you're not going to be a defender at 6'10". Okay, you're not going to defend anybody. You're not going to lock anybody down.
He's going to help on rebounding, though.
He got rebounds. He had 10 rebounds last night. I mean, that's okay. That's not bad. I mean, you're 6'10". You're going to fall into some rebounds. Okay, cool. But he just passes up shots. Sometimes he passes up shots. Like, that's what in that game last night against the Lakers. Like, they're looking for a third scorer. Aaron Gordon ended up stepping up, but they were looking for Cleveland. I told you this after game one. If he averages 20 points a game, they're unbeatable. The Nuggets will be unbeatable.
And the other reason that you're not going to find that consistency is, again, what we were talking about. He's not on the court that often, right? So he's always in and out of the lineup.
He's on the court. He's not going to get the. He's not going.
No, he's never going to give you a full season. If you get 50 games out of Michael Porter Jr., you're happy.
We're beyond that because he's played. He's not been hurt any time in these playoffs. We're beyond that right now. We're not talking about his inconsistencies with his injuries issue. He's been on the court the last 3 months. That's gone. He's playing. He's starting. He's getting the time. I expected more consistency out of him and not to pass up these open shots that he's getting. So that was kind of my disappointment on him. But Clint, let me get your feedback on what do you think about Victor, Big Vic, Wembanyama? Is he worth? Do you see him living up to the potential?
He is coming in at probably the best time that he could come in NBA history. We are in an age where perimeter players are rewarded. by the rules that are put on the defense for less contact. And as long as he doesn't sit here and try to go back to the basket with a whole lot of players, he should be able to get his shot off and thrive.
7'4", 7'5". He can go back to the basket.
The problem that we're going, and we'll see it. We're going to see it within the first 2 to 3 seasons. Is how durable is he going to be in an 82 game season? Even if they do, load management.
You don't think the toe exercises is going to make him more durable?
Yeah, the toe exercises.
You see that?
All I'm saying is, you saw what happened to homeboy in Seattle when he stepped on LeBron's foot. He's out for the damn season, right? So OKC now, they're basically battling to try to get into the playoffs, short-handed, because the dude coming back is going to be really good for them. Could happen to him at any time.
You think that's a comparison? You think that Chet and Victor is a comparison? You
Chet,
brought it up last week, didn't you?
Chet is a dog. Chet's a dog for one thing. Let's get that straight. You're going to see that when he gets on the court, because I watched him at Gonzaga. That dude doesn't mess. Even as skinny as he is, like he's as skinny as that other European guy that they have that they don't really play. I think he got hurt too. Actually, they got a whole bunch of. That's the whole thing. They got a whole bunch of skinny dudes over in OKC. They all hurt. All of them hurt. So I don't know how you gonna see like Victor Wembanyama. I mean, we had Yao Ming. Yao Ming was about weighed twice as much as him, and he was hurt all the time.
Yeah, Yao Ming was going up.
It ain't that much different though, because he's going to be moving around more than Yao Ming.
Talking about back to the basket. Yao Ming was exclusively back to.
Well, he was a tree though. He was a tree when it came to that.
So that's a little different.
I'm just saying, there's a whole lot of moving parts to that walking stick.
Yao Ming size.
Well, shit. Like I said to you the other day on one of the Facebook chats, the unicorn. How much different is he? Is he better than the unicorn right now? No. He has the potential to be, but the unicorn was always hurt too. All these guys, put your earphones back in. Put them back in. Don't take them out. Put those back in.
Are you telling me? Are you comparing? What I can't even think of his name.
Porzingis, yeah.
The
game is very similar, man.
I am comparing their physiologies.
Better handles,
right? I'm comparing their one, we don't know if he's a better shooter than the unicorn. We don't know that. The only thing I know is they have similar body types.
Yeah, because people don't really bring this up. He shoots like 35% from 3-point range.
Exactly. Right.
He doesn't just light it up out there. Everybody looks at the step back when he like grab it and dunk it. Yeah, boom. He doesn't really. He's not super duper consistent from there.
But I'm listening to these guys try to hype him up like Jay Billis and all these other guys, like, oh, he's the best talent that the NBA has ever seen. We'll see. We'll see.
Look like a buffoon.
You comparing him to Victor Wembanyama to Kristaps Porzingis?
His physiology.
Like a buffoon.
Come on, man.
Physiology. So what's different? What's different? Don't give me skill. Just give me the eye test of how they move.
That's it.
No, but you have to. We don't know. We don't know. Nobody who's.
Hold on.
Where's the video where we see Victor Wembanyama slam to the ground? When's the last one? When have we ever seen that? We haven't seen that at all.
No.
We've seen.
Stop. Don't give me that. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. You're gonna. Oh my goodness. I'm almost ashamed of you for bringing up that comparison.
What is he talking about?
I'm ashamed of you for bringing up the comparison of Victor Wembanyama to. Oh my goodness gracious! Hold on.
So what you're saying? So let's get him on video with this. What he's saying is Victor is not going to get hurt. He has no chance of getting hurt like the unicorn at all, even though they have similar body types.
Better than Kristaps Porzingis without question. That's I had a question for you. Shit, I got rid of this. Damn it. I got rid of the video. Clint, you didn't see the video of him shooting the 3-pointer and going and catching the miss and dunking?
Yeah, I saw that. You know who else I saw do that a lot? You know who I saw? You know who else I saw do that a lot?
That one time. Tell me who
Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins used to do that shit all the time. All the time.
Is Dominique 7'4"? Is Dominique 7'4", Clint?
No, he don't have to be 7'4". He had a 45-inch vertical.
Right. So come on, that's a little different, right? That's a little different. You're talking about a different dude. Yes, when you're talking about a cat 7'4" shooting a 3-pointer and it's not like a throw up garbage shot, shooting a 3-pointer, going to get the rebound and dunking it. Come on, you compare Dominique Wilkins, who's a legit 6'7" and perfect basketball height, who gets it, who dunks on mostly everybody in the league. Clint, you ought to be ashamed.
Hey man, I don't know. I don't care how you put the ball in the hoop, as long as you put it in the hoop.
Man,
period.
Come on.
Now, this is going into the archives. I'm going to save this to the hard drive of my laptop to make sure that
save this one too. Save this one too.
Yeah.
I cannot believe you compared the kid to Kristaps Porzingis. So, Chris Broussard said a couple weeks ago. I had to call him on this. He said if Victor Wembanyama has the career of Hakeem Olajuwon, it's been a disappointment.
Was that on the show or was that offline?
No, that was not on my show. That was on his show.
With Parker.
Yeah. If he has a season, if he has a career of Hakeem Olajuwon, that's a disappointment.
Why are you setting this young man up for failure? That's all you guys are doing right now. You're setting this guy up to fail. There's no way he's not going to reach that. You know, he's not. He's not going to reach that level of excellence. Not like that. Not Hakeem Olajuwon is he's in my top 10 all time. He's in my top 10. So I'll just give it to you that way.
If I was being biased, he'd be in my top 10. If I was 100% biased, he'd be in my top 10 for sure. But I understand.
Well, at least we'll take that.
He's my top 3 center. He's my top 3 center of all time.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
He's in top 3 center.
Yeah, man. But I can't. That's too much. Cam, that's too much, man. You can't keep doing this to these guys. Like Jay Billis and those guys, they do it because they're tired of who getting talked about all the time as being the SB23 makes a great point. The talent level of KD and Ralph Sampson, you can see it in him when he's playing over there. We're gonna see. And this year, and you can't. And I gotta tamper the expectation for people of him coming in this year, because Popovich is not going to work him that hard this year. I'm just letting you guys know right now. Don't expect him to be averaging 35 and 40 minutes a game. It's not going to happen. Popovich is going to move him along as slow as he possibly can. He's going to load manage him. He'll be lucky to play 65 games. I'm telling you. Just remember when I told you this.
May 24th now.
I'm just saying.
What are we waiting on? If you're saying that's the case, what are we waiting on? We're waiting to feed him, waiting for his body to fill out. What are you waiting on?
Exactly.
He's already seeing like the level of competition is like it's cool and all, and he's doing some things, but he's about to come to the National Basketball Association and the Western Conference.
This is another great point. Luka was averaging 15, 16 points. I think Luka was the 6th man over in Europe on his European team. Came over here averaging 30 quickly.
Is Victor is Victor Luka?
No, but I'm saying he's another European player coming over here, and as our guy told us earlier in the montage, Danilo Gallinari says I asked him, the question was when he says it's easier for me to score all over the world. I cut that out. The question was, Luka, that was the same. Luka was a rookie that year. Luka said it's easier to score in the NBA than it is over in Europe. Mm-hmm. And I asked Gallinari, I said, you heard what Luka, the conversation was, because Dallas was playing the Clippers, obviously. And the conversation was, Gallinari, you heard what Luka said about it's easier to score over here than it is over there. And then he said a couple things. And he was like, for me, it's easier for me to score all over the world.
Right.
That shit was
Right.
actually hysterical when he said it. That shit was hysterical. But to SB's point, they said it was going to be tough for him to kind of get into the groove of the game. But Luka came right over here to average 30.
And you're like I said, that's why I keep asking you guys: is Victor Luka? Luka has skills of Magic Johnson, and he's a streaky, and he knows how to put the ball in the basket, and he has a big body. That's the one thing that you guys are actually missing. Gallinari, even though he's tall and kind of skinny, but he's strong. He has muscle.
Gallinari's
yeah, exactly. He's a big dude. Like, just look at all the skinny European. Look, just name them. Just go through all the skinny European dudes that are in the league, and just find out how healthy they've been playing in this league. It's different, and it's not even all the way to pounding. It's the running. It's the running of the free running of going from 3-point line to 3-point line, and then in the half court set, especially the playoffs, when you have to run from one 3-point line, rotate, and run to another 3-point line, and you have to do that for most of the game. There's more running. That's why you have more soft tissue injuries. That's why people are more gassed. That's why people are getting non-contact injuries. Is more running than there was before. Giannis is not skinny. He is full of muscle
when he came now, 4 years later, 5 years later, he was a toothpick when he came in the league. That was a product of hard work. Giannis.
Okay. All right. So I'm saving this for you, SB23, and everybody else that think Victor, whatever his last name is going to make it.
So you don't like Victor. So basically, you don't like Victor.
No, I'm not saying. Well, so if I'm telling you that you guys are setting him up for failure, then that means I don't like him. Is that what you're saying? Because that's what I'm saying. All you guys saying that his sky is the limit, which is fine. You can say that. But with the conviction that you guys are saying it with, he's going to fail. He can't reach those. That he will not reach those limits. He can't.
KD mixed with Samson? Come on, man. I mean, dude, we haven't seen this. We haven't seen a 7'4" dude who can handle the ball and shoot like KD. We haven't
seen him try to go to the hole on Steven Adams and get slammed to the ground a few times either. We haven't seen that either. So until we see that, to see how durable he is, can his back take it? Can his joints take it? We're not going to know. Now, that's great. I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people like this, NBA on 2K at arcade mode that everybody seems to be on, where, people in their 15th and 20th year, are 97 overall, and they should be able to do every damn thing. It doesn't work that way. I played semi-pro for 8 years. I know. I played in the 90s. I know how hard it is to do that stuff. And that was before we were shooting all those damn threes.
This is not the 90s. It's not that basketball.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying now it's more soft tissue. It's more soft tissue injuries. And if you're not used to that contact, which from all the videos that I saw on Victor, he barely gets touched because the refs call everything for him. We're going to see what happens.
Clint, if it's just running and you're not getting the physical taxing on your body,
you're getting both. You're not getting as much as you were in the 90s. Let's not be ridiculous about it. But
for real, answer this question for me. With your understanding of basketball, if it's not, you're not getting the physical pounding of the Rodmans, of the Barkleys, of the Oakleys. You don't have to play. You're not. That style of basketball is not there anymore. So you say when you mention pounding of Steven Adams, that's one guy in the NBA, and that's because Steven Adams can't jump over a piece of paper, and that's
here's the thing.
You
bring up a great point. This is an excellent point, Cam, because this is what they kept telling me when Jordan. This is what they keep telling me when the GOAT Michael Jordan was going through the league and he was dominating Patrick Ewing, Rick Smits, Alonzo Mourning. I'm just giving you an example. I'm giving you an example of people dominating big men.
We don't see that.
What do you mean?
The pounding and what Jordan had to go through is gone. That's out of the league. Out of the league.
It's not completely out of the league. You know why? Because weren't you yelling about scripts like a couple of episodes ago the NBA script. Weren't you yelling about that a little bit? That NBA script that's out there.
I deleted the script that I deleted the script that I had that said the Lakers win the finals in 7 games. No, but again, in all seriousness, the game is not as physical. And so what I'm asking you with the
It's
game,
more physical than you think it is, though.
it may be. It's not as physical as it once was. And because it's not as physical as it once was, and you're talking about there's more running in the game, Clint, come on. You're talking about the guys running and stopping is creating these soft tissue injuries. Like, why are we having more injuries if the game is less physical than it was than the 90s, even the early aughts? Why are we seeing more injuries like that? Why are we
that's the whole thing of science and physics. Your body's only going to be able to run and jump and turn and twist so often before something breaks down. And if you don't take care of it, especially when you have 3 games in 4 nights, that compounds on each other, on top of each other. That's why you have the load management. Popovich knew this like years ago. He knew this, especially with Tim Duncan and aging David Robinson. He knew he had to rest those guys if they were going to have a chance to go at titles.
I hear what you're saying. That's understood. But now Adam Silver has there's no more 3 games in 4 nights. They're not doing that. No, the back-to-backs are very few and far between. Now they cut down. You may, as for example, the Clippers go to Memphis. They play on Wednesday night. They play on Friday night. Then they get on a plane and go somewhere else. Like they're not having those 3 games in 3 nights type deal anymore. They're not.
Well, 3 games in 4 nights. There was some of those this
they're doing
year.
That less and less. They're doing that less and less. Okay, so to your point of they're not taking that physical pounding. They're not having to deal with that up and down pounding consistently. They're not doing that as much anymore. But yet there's still low management. We still have some of these weird injuries. And why is that? You're just saying just because the body can only take so much.
So with the body types of players that were basically being drafted and picked up in the 90s, are they the same as today?
Well, no.
How many Charles Oakleys and Anthony Masons and how many are those in the league on each team anymore? Like back in the day, there was at least 2. There's at least 2 of those big bruiser
enforcer,
weightlifting cats that were in the 90s. You had that. It was almost a prerequisite to have those guys on the bench. Look at the Warriors. Who's their strongest dude is Draymond. Who's his next strongest dude?
Shame on
Kaminga?
Him. They should have kept White. I don't know.
They could have. Yeah, I believe. I'm
not as smart.
Trust me. I agree with you. They should have kept Wiseman. I don't know why they got rid of Wiseman.
Yeah.
I guess they got tired of him not doing what they wanted him to do, but essentially they needed him in the playoffs this season.
And then so Draymond, I hate Draymond's show. I don't like this.
You don't like Draymond's show? It's honest though. It's honest. It's probably one of the most honest shows that I've seen next to JJ Redick.
We'll get back to JJ Redick. I'm with Jay. I roll with JJ Redick. JJ. But Draymond, he said he was talking about the players not developing. You got to blame the organization. You can't always blame the player because the player doesn't really know what it takes to be successful in the league. This is his exact words. The player doesn't always know what it takes to be successful in the league. So you can't always blame the player for not filling out. I forget exactly who he was talking about.
I get it though.
He was making a point about a specific player. I want to say it's our guy in New Orleans, but I can't pinpoint that.
Who, Williamson?
Yes, but that's what I think it was. But he said you can't always blame the player because you got to blame the organization for not putting the guy in the right situation, not developing. Right. And then they turn around. Golden State has the guy for a couple of years. He was hurt the first year, and then they traded him the second year. Some of that's on the Warriors. Like they're supposed to develop, but him not developing, you can't put all of that on him because it's not like he's getting the ball every other time down court, so he can't work on his shot or he can't work on his rebound. So something I'd be interested to see. I'd be interested to hear what Draymond had to say about the Warriors not developing Wiseman, and then they traded him. Like
I'm just saying, like, I mean, you got to think of it this way. I mean, if the Warriors are letting you go, it has to be something big, because they're a dynasty. They've established a dynasty, and there's something that he's not doing that they don't like. And I'll give you a quick example. There's a guy that has been on 3 different championship teams, and he has been instrumental as being a player development guy, and almost every single player sings his praises. His name is Phil Handy. Phil Handy was with the Raptors. Phil Handy's with the Bucks. Phil Handy's with the Lakers. Right? There's a common denominator when it comes to that. Each team has a player development group, right? And whether they're, some aren't good, but most of them know what they're doing. And then that part of it goes on the player as far as, hey,
picking up on what.
Yeah, come to us so we can teach you this, right? Or are you going to Kareem, or are you going to Hakeem?
Yeah.
To learn the dream shake and some of your footwork. That's on the player.
Yeah.
But JJ's right about the team being able to put people in the right places. Williamson in New Orleans with that food and that lifestyle, I don't know what people thought was going to happen. I really don't. Dude was already when he was drafted, he was 265, 270. Then you're going to New Orleans with some of the most exotic food in the entire world.
Okay, I can't rock with that one entirely, because I saw him at the beginning of the season, dog.
Yeah, and he was solid, right?
Solid, like
solid,
and he played like he was thick, like thick, but muscular. I'm saying he was skinny. He wasn't. I'm not saying he was Giannis, but no, don't get it twisted. But he wasn't fat. He was solid in shape.
Right.
Like I saw him with his shirt off. Like he looked ready to me.
Right.
And then it might be physiology. His ankles and knees can't handle the power that
I'm just
he had.
saying. I said this about Harold Miner back in the day when he was with Miami. Some people are too athletic for their own good. Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, perfect example. That dude, he could have been, honestly, probably could have been one of the best guards ever. Best scoring guards, best combo guards to ever play this game. Too athletic. All these jump cuts on your knees at that torque and that power and that angle. It's not sustainable. It's not. You know what it reminds me of, Cam, and you might remember this from way back in the 80s. You remember the Seahawks running back Kurt Warner?
Yeah.
You remember his running style?
Yeah, he cut frequently.
Oh my God, his cuts were like, oh my God, right? Exactly. He tore up his own knee.
He had a hesitation. Kurt had a hesitation move that you just don't see out of. There are very few running backs that had that.
Exactly.
Like in mid stride, he can give you a hezzy and then burst into full speed and next time. Like that was kind of incredible.
Hey, young cats, go back and see if you can find some old Kurt Warner. Not with a C, not with a K, with a C. Yeah, Kurt Warner for the Seahawks, and just watch him run. He was one of my favorites.
In the case of Derrick Rose, and in the same vein as Williams and Zion, why isn't somebody showing him how to slow down and perfect his moves? Or is it just he's been able to get away with dunking on everybody since high school or since the 7th grade? Since the first time I seen this video.
Well, I was told that he was dunking on white kids from the suburbs, and they didn't know if he could play or not.
It was actually, and dog. So at the game, funny thing you said that at the game that I saw him at, there was a white kid that he played high school against. The dude was 5'6".
Oh yeah, the little short dude that was in the video that was guarding him.
Yes, he was at the game. He was at the game.
I remember that video.
So he had a jersey. He gave Zion his high school jersey.
Yeah.
So I had this video's on YouTube too. I didn't know who this little white kid is. I'm like, well, wondering who this kid is. Zion comes out, takes some pictures and poses, and talks a little shit with him. And then I asked the kid, I was like, how you know Zion? He's like, oh, we played together. We played against each other in high school, and there's a meme. I was in the meme, and Zion's like, this guy's supposed to guard me.
Yeah.
Meme, but this kid was 5'6". He couldn't have been 160 pounds. You're talking about he's in college playing college basketball. I was like,
yeah.
What college?
Probably
what
was.
college you going to? What college?
Probably a shooter of some sort, specialist.
I don't know, man. But so since Zion was playing against that talent and he can just go to the hole and dunk on him every time, he didn't learn the details of the game to slow down and effective ball handling. Is that what?
Well, he wasn't at Duke long enough to learn that too. Like if he stays an extra year, does he actually learn from Coach K to actually know when to pace, when to press, when to not press? Maybe. Right, to the point where he's going 100 miles an hour all the time. He comes out of his shoe.
Yeah.
Right, almost injures himself. Right,
it had to be the same case with Derrick Rose. He just was, nobody could slow him down, and he was just too fast for his own good.
I mean, who was his coach in Chicago? Right, I mean, Tibbs wasn't going to stop. He didn't care about offense. He's get your ass back and play some defense. That's what he's all about, right? So what Derrick Rose is giving him on offense, he's just loving it. I just want you to play defense. That was his thing. So he's not going to tell him to slow down. Why would anybody tell him to slow down when he's dunking on the eventual NBA champions, their best players, off of just raw. Like no plays, just jumping out from anywhere and just dunking on people. I mean, why would you stop that when it's all the posters and the endorsements and just the media? That's what all of that brought. You can't. Why would you stop that? That's like saying, who came in like that? Like Blake Griffin. Why would you stop Blake Griffin from basically grabbing Mozgov by the neck and slamming on his head? You're not going to do that, but eventually it's going to catch up to you.
Right, and he never learned. He never got a jumper.
No, he never learned to slow down. I mean, he got a little bit of a jump shot at the end and some handles, but for the most part, the damage has already been done. His legs were already done.
Blake, I seen Blake at the Home Depot. He came through.
The Home Depot.
I did, for real. I was working with my guys, and he come through the end of the aisle. And the first thing I thought, I was like, I think I could take him to the hoop. I look like I could take Blake for real, because he wasn't that imposing. Is kind of the point I was making. He was not that imposing at what 6'4". I mean 6'4", maybe. He just wasn't.
Blake Griffin. Which Blake Griffin are you talking about? Blake Griffin's 6'10". You're talking about somebody else.
No, Blake Griffin. No, he's not 6'10", bro.
Hey, you know how I know he's 6'10"? I can prove it to you.
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, when I saw
Blake Griffin, no, because when I coached at Douglas College and from 2008, 2009, one season we went undefeated. We hosted a number of Division I colleges, Marquette, Air Force, and the University of Oklahoma Sooners. So I saw Blake and his brother close up. They are closer to 6'10" than they are 6'4". I'll tell you that.
Might have been 6'6",
easy, because none of us could. We had 6'8" guys, and he was taller than them, and they couldn't stop him.
That was I don't think he was. I didn't think he was 6'10".
I wish I would have had. I wish I would have got those tapes. I didn't get the copy of those tapes. If you would have seen, he wasn't as big either. He wasn't as big. His brother was. His brother looked like him in college. Like Blake looked in the pros. So trust me when I tell you, those guys were at least 6'8".
I thought the brother might have been better at Oklahoma.
He had more skill at the time, but he couldn't jump like Blake. Blake always had hops though. He always.
I thought he was the kind of more well-rounded basketball player.
Yeah, he was almost hitting his curly head on the rim in warm-ups.
We gotta wrap this up, but before we go, I want to get your feedback on the WNBA. Do you watch any of the WNBA? Did you see Brittany come back? Do you follow the WNBA? Either one of you guys?
I watched the first 4 Houston Comets championships, and then I was a big fan of Sue Bird and Lauren Jackson. Like I used to see them at Green Lake every once in a while before I moved up here. And I didn't know who Bird was into at the time, and Lauren for that fact. But I every time I saw them at the court, I made a point to make sure I said hello. I was very I was a big fan of them. Like women's sports in general. Rhonda Smith, one of my longtime friends from high school. Cam, you remember Rhonda Smith from Franklin. She played basketball. Paulo is her son.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, I've always been a part of supporting women's sports. Like Joyce Walker, she's from Garfield. She's one of us. So, I mean, I have no problem with it at all. My problem is that me trying to convince people that not to compare women's sports exactly to men's sports, compare women to women's competition relatively. And that if you do that, you're going to get more enjoyment out of it. And that's why I watch.
The women get down. I'll say no problem in saying that at all. Women can get down. And I was chatting with some jerk online that says they couldn't beat a high school basketball team. I was like, you haven't seen them play. That's what that tells me. You haven't seen them. You haven't seen them play. Like being at the gym. Funny thing is, covered the Sparks a few games. Candace Parker's bad. I mean,
she can ball.
Her game is kind of changed now that she's
older.
But
she can ball.
Years ago, Candace got down, and one of the better girls. Shit, how am I having a brain fart? She left the Sparks and went to the point guard. She left the Sparks and now she's with the Aces. She's a point guard for the Aces.
Great.
Great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was on the Olympic team. Like, dude, she can ball.
Filthy.
She is bad. She does not mess around, man.
She controls the pace on any
game.
Filthy.
Yeah, she's the floor general for sure.
She is so filthy. That's so impressive. And I like to see that. There's a girl, and I'm gonna give you guys a heads up. There's a girl, Renee Kelly.
Why does that name sound familiar?
You're gonna know about her here in a few years. Down here, she won 4 to 5 championships in high school here in 7A in Alabama. 4 to 5. She played at an 8th grader. High school basketball as an 8th grader. She won 4 or 5 championships. She was the recent player of the year here in Bama. She's going to North Carolina. I told her, I was like, listen, I don't mess with North Carolina, period. But for you, I might get to a North Carolina game. I might get to it. She's another filthy, and she remind me of Gray with the Aces. But I want to know, do you guys follow NBA or WNBA? The season kicked off obviously last weekend. BJ did her thing. Aces had a blowout win. Breonna Stewart set a record out in New York, 45.
Yeah, 45. Jeez, man, she's a monster. She's still a monster.
Yeah, she's showing she still got it back at home, getting it done. So that's it. No Mariners talk tonight. The Mariners back under 500. I'm signing. I'm getting a petition. I'm coming up to Seattle in July. I'm getting a petition going to send the Mariners to Portland. They're not going to have it. The NBA Major League Baseball All-Star Game is in Seattle. And I'm going around everybody in Seattle. I'm getting a petition going to send the Mariners to Portland. Be the Portland Mariners. What you think about Clinton? You going to sign my petition?
No, we're fine. We'll be fine.
Oh, you might want them in Vancouver. You guys
got to we already got like a single A team up here, and hardly anybody comes to it. So
that's about as good as the Mariners. They should. I told Cleveland a few years ago they should be having high school teams. Garfield and Franklin should play at the T-Mobile field. They might get more fans at that stadium. They may get more fans at T-Mobile when Garfield and Franklin play there versus what they have there
Clee, you have to deal with this guy on a regular basis, don't you?
I do on the regular, and it hurts even more when he's not really understanding what the Mariners are really about. But it gives him
They're not even
fuel.
500.
It was very similar last year when they took off on that 14-game winning streak and made the playoffs.
Exactly.
Just giving them fuel to get to the playoffs, my dude.
Hey, Clint, I told Cleveland last week, the Seattle Kraken have already been more successful than the Seattle Mariners. In their 2 years, they've been more successful than the Mariners have been in 2 years. Already. At least they made it to the second round of the playoffs. The Mariners made it to the playoff 5 times out of 46 years, Clint. And you want to defend these guys 5 times out of 46 years? That's who you want to defend?
These things happen sometimes. Like I can speak for Clee when I say I thought for sure we were going to win the World Series when we won 126 games. I thought for sure. Nobody knew Aaron Boone was going to hit some raggedy ass home run that he didn't hit for us for years. So I mean, it happens sometimes, right? So what can you do?
You guys ain't been back. You guys did not flirted with 100 wins since. And that was 95. So that was 30 years. You guys haven't flirted with 100 wins in 30 years.
It was 01. It was like 22 years ago. That's what I'm saying. You don't even know your math. You don't even know the history of the team.
Only 22
years. And the 5 playoff appearances have been in the last 25 years.
There you go. There you go.
46 years. So that means for 20 years you guys have done absolutely nothing.
And you got to take it back to 76. You can start at 96. We'll go from there.
I'm just saying, in 46 years, you guys.
Okay, well, they'll be in the playoffs this year, man. Be an interested observer. Okay.
I'll be in for this conversation too. Mariners are going to make the playoffs. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter where we get in. We're going to get in. So.
They're under 500 through we're 40 games.
They're 500.
Huh? Did they win today? Did you check the schedule? Did they win today? They're 23 and 24 last night. Did they win tonight?
They won tonight.
Oh, there you go.
All right, tell us then. Tell us what's up with the Mariners. We got a rule on the show. We don't talk about them unless they're 500. Give me some Mariners before we hang up.
They strike out a bit too much, but they have one of the top 5 pitching rotations in baseball. So that will always keep you in games. Once it gets a little bit warmer and once the bats get a little hotter, I think they'll be just fine.
I believe we should be playing more small ball, to be honest with you. We got to, more hit and runs, more bunting. We got to do that. We don't have a home run hitting team, and we don't have a home running stadium. So, I mean,
we don't have a home run stadium.
We don't. You know that.
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just listening. I'm listening to you guys making excuses for the Seattle Mariners. I say send them the.
Is that an excuse or is it science?
Whatever it is, it sounds like piss poor excuses to me. You guys are sad that the Mariners. Again, I'm coming up there with my petition starting in July. Fans, anybody want to sign a petition? Hit us up at @voice of the fans. @voice of the fans. Sign the petition to send the Seattle Mariners to Portland or Vancouver. Vancouver can have them.
Hey y'all, just make sure when you go to sign that petition, bring eggs. Bring eggs in a carton.
And we're gonna end the show. I'm gonna end the show with this quote here. One man practicing sportsmanship is far better than 50 men preaching it, Clint. One man practicing sportsmanship is far better than 50 men preaching it. I want to thank you guys for your time. Thank Clint for tuning into the show, giving us a whole night of content.
Beautiful.
Let the people know where they can find you, Clint.
MJ Lover 23. You can find me in that's on Twitter. That's also on Instagram too. And I'm in Facebook. You can find me in Voices of the Fans every once in a while when Cam says something off the wall.
You're welcome to join us anytime. Cleveland, let the people know where they can find you.
All right, that's at Clevie Wonder on Twitter and Cleveland Still on Instagram.
Thank you all for your time. Have a good night, fans, and thank you for making our voice your choice.
Peace. Thanks, fellas.